Weekends on UME Radio. Get the UME Radio app.
Are you ready for the weekend?
Oh, yes, girl. Get your cup of tea and mic check, 1, 2. I am so ready.
To inspire, motivate, and educate. Weekends on UME Radio. The sun is up and so are we.
News, interviews, hot topics. Connect with us. Let us know what's on your mind. Follow, comment, subscribe.
We're everywhere. UME Radio app, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, iTunes, TuneIn, and all other digital platforms. Email us info@umeradio.com. On WhatsApp, 201-503-6731. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, all at UME Radio. Follow me, Jessie, on Instagram at ink.jess, that's ink.jess, and on Facebook at Jesselyn Abel, that's JESSELYNE Abel, ABEL.
And follow me, Marsha J, on all social media platforms at official Marsha J, or you can just check out marshajnow.com.
Weekends on UME Radio with Marsha J and Jessie,
amplifying the voice of positive influencers.
UME Radio. Positive entertainment 24/7. Subscribe on YouTube and click the notification bell.
Good morning.
Morning. Hey, Marsha.
It's the weekend.
It's the weekend.
Week.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am not bad at all. Definitely giving thanks and just up and ready to go. How have you been doing? What's your week like? What was your week like?
It was pretty good. As you guys know, if you guys don't know, outside of co-host Weekends with Marsha J, I'm currently a student. So every day I'm in clinic seeing a whole bunch of patients. Had a couple interesting patients this week.
Wow.
One of them personally had a disorder or syndrome that we talked about but haven't went into depth with it in lecture and everything. So I saw the patient, I was telling the doctor, I think this might be it, and I was right. So it felt good to be right that I got it.
Big deal. Yes.
But I thought that was pretty good.
I'm so happy for you, Jessie. My week pretty much was interesting. We have been at UME Radio, we've been recruiting some additional hands, and just interacting with young minds and having them around is definitely something exciting, and looking forward to meeting them. And definitely, we may have them featured here one of the Saturdays, things like that. So I'm looking forward to. That was what my week was like primarily.
Wow.
Right. So we've been just pulling things together to make sure that all is well and gets even better.
I can only imagine. I can't wait to meet them too, because it is really refreshing to get a good, a whole bunch of group together and young people, like you said, and then, even help us grow even further. I'm excited to meet them.
Yes. There's a word in Chinese that I learned from my former boss. He is Chinese. He always uses the word kaizen, which means constant improvement. So that's what we're about. Super excited.
That's the word of the day, guys. Maybe we should start that. Kaizen.
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool. So cool. Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to Weekends with Marsha J and Jessie. I'm Jessie, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Marsha J. Yes. And we want to say thank you so much for joining us on our show on UME Radio. And as we hear from newsmakers, entertainers, community leaders on current events and topical issues from New York, we go to the Caribbean, we go to Africa, educating the viewers, that's you guys, on the richness of the Black culture. We look forward to a great show, and we want to say a big thank you to all of our partners, supporters, listeners, and viewers from all around the world. We know a lot is happening around the world, so we hope that wherever you are from, wherever you're listening in, that you feel safe, and this is a safe place. And if you need answers or advice to any questions to help you grow, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below, or email us at info@umeradio.com. It is our hope that this family program will become a resource for you to be inspired, motivated, and educated. It's August 7th. It is summertime in New York, so tell us in the comments below what you've been up to. And it is now 8:05 in the morning. Again, we want to say thank you so much for your continued support. And we go live every Saturday morning on YouTube and Facebook. And if you miss it, you could tune in on UME Radio to catch the repeat right on our YouTube channel. It's always there. And please let us know where you guys are tuning in from in the comment section down below as you guys come in. And now we have listeners in 116 countries, guys. And
Yes.
That's amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. We are growing. Thank you, God. We are in this. And this year, we want to make sure that we are connecting with you. So please, in the comment section, leave a comment, a question, a shout out. And Marsha, we are not just on YouTube and Facebook for our viewers and listeners, right?
Well, actually, we are on UMERadio.com, and that's where we want you to go to listen, to watch, and all that good stuff. But we can also be heard on the following apps, right? So we have our personal app. Guys, have you checked out the overhaul on our app? So it's app.umeradio.com.
And let me pull it up real quick if you guys need to look at, I don't know if you guys could, if you could zoom in. I don't know if the glare's gonna have it, but
yes.
It should be, actually, let me try this. Give me 1 second, Marsha. You could continue.
No problem, no problem. While Jesse's getting that up, all right? So we can also be found, right? So download app.umeradio.com or umeradio.com/ get the app. So we can also be heard on the Apple App Store, Google Play Store, iTunes Podcast, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Podcast, Podbean, TuneIn, Live 365, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, and Listen Notes. Yes. So Jesse, let us know if you have that up and running.
Yep, I got it. Guys, it's better. So this is what it would look like.
Ooh.
Yeah. There's a little symbol with a little, I don't know what you call it.
Like a head with an earphone thing in blue.
Yeah.
Yes. The glare is kind of,
That's it. That's it. Something like that. Yep.
Yes. So you can definitely listen to us on the go, anywhere you go. And, there are a lot of other exciting things on the app. So you can go on, poke around, and see what else is there. And believe me, it will bless you. All right. So also for deals and discounts, go ahead and log on to umeradio.com/deals. Yeah. So we have a lot going on here at UME Radio, and we want to add value to you each and every week. And we're just so blessed and have this abundance that we want to share with you. Go on ahead, dive in, become one with us. Don't shack up with us, marry us. Come on, like, share, subscribe. We don't do shacking up on UME Radio, right? So go on ahead and just, be one with us. That's all we ask. All right. So here's what's coming up in today's podcast. Of course, we will have our morning devotion, compliments of our daily bread. And of course, we're going to be looking at the front page of the New York Times, the CARICOM News, and the Africa News. And of course, along with that, we have our news highlight of the day. Right after that, we will be having our inspiration guest, Coach Racquel, as usual, every single week. We have talent recap, the DJ Top 5, Because of You We Can, quiz competition. Then we change gears into wealth mindset, then voice of truth. And we close our morning with Travel Boss. So that's what our morning looks like up until the hour of 11 o'clock. So we invite you to stick and stay with us. Remember, tell somebody that we're on. Turn it up. Let your neighbors hear you. It is Weekends with Marsha J. and Jesse. And now we go into today's devotion. And our devotion is coming to us compliments of our daily bread All right, so we are going to be looking at the topic of forgiveness. So today's topic is first forgive. Can you type that in the comments? First forgive. And our scripture this morning is taken from Genesis 33 and verse 34. And it says, Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. So here we go. Insight. We called ourselves sisters in Christ, but my white friend and I began to act like enemies. Over a cafe breakfast one morning, we argued unkindly over our differing racial views. Then we parted, with me vowing not to see her again. 1 year later, however, we were hired by the same ministry, working in the same department, unable to reconnect. Awkwardly at first, we talked over conflicts. Then, over time, God helped us to apologize to each other and to heal and to give the ministry our best. God also healed the bitter division between Esau and his twin brother, Jacob. Jacob had robbed Esau of their father's blessing. But 20 years later, God called Jacob to return to their homeland. So Jacob sent ahead bountiful gifts to appease Esau. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. That's Genesis 33. Their reunion stands as a classic example of God's urging to settle anger with a brother or a sister before offering gifts, talents, or treasures to him. Matthew 5, 23 to 24. Instead, first go and be reconciled to them. Then come and offer your gift. Jacob obeyed God by reconciling with Esau and later setting up an altar to God. That's chapter 33 and verse 20. What a beautiful order. First, strive for forgiveness and reconciliation. Then, at his altar, he receives us. That was a beautiful, beautiful devotion there by Our Daily Bread. So, reflection and prayer. Against whom do you hold a grudge or grievance? And what steps can you take to reconcile? Listen to that again. Against whom do you hold a grudge or grievance? And what steps can you take to reconcile? Something to think about. Let's pray. Father in heaven, you are absolutely amazing, and we love you this morning. We are so grateful and thankful that you woke us up, clothed us in our right mind. We are able to see or to move. Our faculty is in place. God, we are standing on top of our graves. We are grateful, and we thank you for your love towards us. Lord God, in reflection of your word this morning, we ask you to help us. Help us to forgive. Help us, God, to be more than who we are. Father, we know it's hard. It is hard. But God, we know that through you we are able to do exceedingly abundantly more. Help us to let go. Help us to let go. Help us to do the actions that need to be done in order for there to be peace. Help us to put your word in front of our feelings. Father, for each and every person that is watching this morning, we pray a special blessing. Those who are listening in, we pray that you will bless them. We pray that you will keep them. We pray, oh God, that something in this program will be able to minister to them. Lord, I pray for the team. I pray for our guests. I pray that you will breathe upon us this morning as we do your work, as we seek to empower 1 million, God. We ask you to have your own way, and we ask you to bless us as we give you thanks. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Such a powerful devotion, Jesse. First, forgive. We think forgiveness comes after. Let us know in the comments, guys, how easy or hard it is for you to forgive, right? Because normally if the person offends us, we feel like they're the ones that are supposed to say, I am sorry first. But the word of God says, no, if your brother offends you, you go to them. And so that's just a very important lesson. And it's not for the other person, right, Jesse? It's not for the other person. Forgiveness is for us.
Yep. And you receive so much relief when you do forgive. And we have some comments coming in saying, "Win masterclass." I love that. Morning, Keith. Morning, Keith. How are you?
Hi, Keith. Good morning.
He says, "Good morning, my favorite weekend team." Whoop, whoop. And we
love you too.
Let's talk relationships. Yep, saying forgiveness is key to flourishing your relationships.
True.
Yeah.
True. I know what it is like to be on both sides of the coin, to be needing forgiveness, and where I have had to forgive someone.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And it's hard both ways. Both ways you also have to like humble yourself.
True.
Which is
true.
Really intense. Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, Jesse, let's know what's going on in the news.
All right, guys. All right, guys, so let's take a look at the front page of the New York Times today. Excuse me. So first up, we have push to speed extra vaccines for vulnerable. Immune impaired get priority from FDA. The Food and Drug Administration is speeding efforts to authorize extra doses of the coronavirus vaccine for Americans with weakened immune system, a change that reflects a growing concern with the Biden administration about these vulnerable patients as the contagious Delta variant surges nationwide. Employers eager for U.S. rebound add 943,000 jobs. New momentum in July. Unemployment slips to 5.4%. Delta variant casts a shadow. We have Cuomo accuser files complaint, reports details assailed by governor's lawyer. On the day, news broke that a woman who has accused Governor Andrew Cuomo of groping her breast had filed a formal criminal complaint against him. His lawyers responded with their most detailed defense of the governor yet and sought to cast doubt on key parts of the woman's story. We have a German village rethinks footprint after floods, and we have a picture that is the main picture on the front page here. Picture caption, Dominic Geiler, the mayor of Rech in the Ahr Valley of Western Germany. Sorry if I'm butchering these names, guys. Looking over the river with his family home once stood. And with that, coming to grips with climate change in plans to rebuild. We have, it's not just the medal. Many Olympic winners get cash too. Tokyo, a winning gold medal at the Summer Olympics here. Tamara Mensah Stock, a United States wrestler, had big plans for her bonus money that comes with it, buying her mother a $30,000 food truck. And we have a picture here of Allison Felix collected a bronze in Friday's race, giving her a record-tying 10th Olympic medal. That is her beauty right there. And this is from her race was the 400 meter. And last but not least, we have Taliban secure a regional hub without a fight. And that, guys, is the front page of the New York Times today. Marsha, what's going on in the Caribbean? Oh, girl, you're mute. You're mute. You're mute. You're mute. Marsha's still mute. Guys, hey, Apostle. Morning, Apostle. Did you
Yes,
say
good
good
morning.
morning?
Good morning, Apostle. I was just about to say that. Guys, if you see me looking up this morning, I'm using multiple monitors. But yes, wanting to acknowledge those in the comments. Apostle, good morning and thank you. Yes, she's saying that we're looking very colorful this morning. Blessings unto you. I see Keith. Keith, good
Mhm.
morning. Thank you for the shout out. Remember, guys, tell us where it is you're watching us from. And now we turn our attention to the CARICOM news, and this is with compliments of today.caricom.org. So these are the stories making the front page of the CARICOM news. Attack on Prime Minister Gonzalez and affront to our democratic principles. CARICOM Secretary General. Scrolling down, we have CARFA supports breastfeeding as a long-term strategy for more productive and healthier children. Launch of Speak Up Art competition on climate change. No place for violence, personal physical assaults in CARICOM democracies. CARICOM congratulates Jamaica on 59 years of independence. World Health Organization, yes, calls for moratorium on COVID-19 booster jabs. World Bank Group mobilizes over 29 billion to support Latin America and Caribbean region. New testing on this, I think this is referring to C19, new testing requirements in the Bahamas. Data collection imperative to rebound from pandemic plan future. We have UN chief welcomes historic IMF liquidity boosts for governments. And those are pretty much the stories making the news in CARICOM for today and this week. And now we turn our attention to Africa. And we want to say thank you so much to africanews.com for our information this morning. Justin, Tigray fighters seize town hosting UNESCO World Heritage Site. Nigerian authorities warn increased gang terror activities. More tremors continue to shake Goma months after volcanic eruption. We have refugee doctors recruited to fight the pandemic in the UK. Tanzanian president appoints Ali Marbre as new health minister. South Africa's jailed ex-president Zuma is in hospital. Tanzania opposition leader Mabwe appears in court on terrorism charges. Burkina Faso, European court suspends extradition of Francois Compaore. Over in Madagascar, 2 Frenchmen remanded in prison over failed assassination president. Stories on stones, the hidden rock engravings of Aborma in Djibouti. In Sudan, death sentences for 6 paramilitaries for the killing of protesters in 2019. Over in Yola, recording artist minimalizing her blackness. Recording artist on minimalizing her blackness. And last but not least, the Cameroon boxer who defected in 2012 London Olympics. So those have been the news making the African news this morning. Jesse, a lot is really going on in the world, and we definitely on top of what it is that we are doing and what we are about. But let's talk about our news highlight of the day, Jesse.
Yep, and we have, I think we have a YouTube clip to pull up from it. But our highlight for today is Andrew Cuomo and the harassment, the lawyers slammed with, the sexual harassment allegations.
Yes.
And as Biden, the other day, Biden were called for him to resign.
Yes.
And I'm thinking that I'm thinking that, he only has a couple more months, within his term, but that's not true. His term actually ends in 2023, if I'm
around that time.
So I completely agree. I think that he should resign. And personally, not personally, but trying to look at it, we had a couple of episodes ago when this was kind of being rumored about and really starting to make its head front, that we talked about his brother. Yes. And the family dynamic, and now this is really coming out, and we have on the screen here from NBC News. Sorry, I'm gonna try to make it a little bit bigger. If we could scroll up to the headline real quick. 10 of the biggest findings from the Cuomo sexual harassment probe. And as we scroll down here, it says investigators said that they found Cuomo's denials to lack credibility and to be inconsistent with the weight of the evidence. The governor again denied the allegations after the report was released. And it's just shocking and disgusting, and it's not like, culturally where, you give 2, air kisses on the cheek, or 3, or, in certain European countries, but this is just absolutely disgusting. It said that the 10 most explosive experts from the report said Cuomo engaged in a pattern of inappropriate behavior with a woman dubbed Executive Assistant Number 1, which included kissing her on the lips at least once, grabbing her buttocks during hugs, asking multiple times about whether she had cheated or would cheat on her husband, and once reaching under her blouse and grabbing her breasts. The governor sexually harassed a New York State trooper assigned to his security detail on a number of occasions. Cuomo ran his hand across her stomach from her belly button to her right hip as she held the door. While the trooper was standing in front of him in an elevator, Cuomo ran his finger down her back from the top of her neck, down her spine to the middle of her back, saying, "Hey, you." In another instance, the governor was accused of kissing her and only her on the cheek in front of another trooper, asking to kiss her on another occasion, which she deflected. Other troopers corroborated the accounts. In a series of conversations in 2020 with an aide, Charlotte Bennett, the governor made inappropriate comments, telling Miss Bennett, in talking about potential girlfriends for him, that he would be willing to date someone who was as young as 22 years old. He knew Miss Bennett was 25 at the time. Another time, after she told him she was considering getting a tattoo for her birthday, he said if she decided to do so, she should get it on her butt, where it couldn't be seen. He also asked whether she had any piercings other than her ears. Virginia Lemaitis, sorry if I'm saying that name incorrectly, came forward with her story about hearing Cuomo in March that he had never touched anyone inappropriately. She alleged that at an event in 2017, she wore a shirt that had the name of the energy company she worked for written across the chest. When Cuomo When Cuomo reached her in the rope line, he ran 2 fingers across her chest, pressing down on each of the letters as he did so, and reading out the name of the energy company as he went. Then Cuomo brushed his hand in the area between her shoulder and breast. "He is lying again," Lemaitis told investigators. "He touched me inappropriately. I am compelled to come forward to tell the truth." Do we need to... we're going to keep on going and scroll down. Gosh. Before and during her time as an aide to Cuomo, Lindsey Boylan said the governor made inappropriate comments, including once saying words to the effect of "let's play strip poker" while on a plane. He also allegedly touched her on various parts of the body, including her waist, legs, and back, and kissed her on the cheeks and once on the lips, said investigators, adding that they had corroborated her allegations, including ones the governor and executive chamber denied. When she came forward publicly with her allegation of sexual harassment, Cuomo and people in his office actively engaged in an effort to discredit her, including by disseminating to the press conventional internal documents that painted her in a negative light. Anna Liz, who worked for Cuomo from 2013 to 2015, said Cuomo kissed her on the cheeks and hand, touched and held her hands, and slid his hand around her lower waist. She described the workplace culture as Twilight Zone, where the typical rules did not apply. The governor's brother, CNN anger Chris Cuomo, and Liz Smith, who was the top communications aide on Pete Buttigieg, I can never say his name, Buttigieg's presidential campaign, were among those advising him on how to respond to the allegations. In his testimony, the governor denied inappropriately touching executive assistant number 1, trooper number 1, state entity employee number 1, or Miss Lamitis in the way they described, and generally denied touching anyone inappropriately. The governor did state that he often hugs and kisses people, mostly on the cheek and sometimes on the forehead, but specifically denied kissing executive assistant number 1 or Boylan. Investigators said that regarding Cuomo's conversations with Bennett, the governor testified that he had threaded lightly because with a victim of, I don't know if we could say this on air and YouTube, but victim of SA, and she was clearly fragile and in a delicate place. He was very careful in his conversations with her. The governor also denied seeing many of the things she accused him of, they said. And I think last but not least, however, the report said where the governor made specific denials of conduct, the compliance recalled clearly, we found his denials to lack credibility and to be inconsistent with the weight of the evidence obtained during our investigation. We also found the governor's denials and explanations around specific allegations to be contrived. Women who came forward described Cuomo's conduct as deeply humiliating and uncomfortable, and described the work environment as extremely toxic. Whew.
Can I just say, Jessie, to the men in government, can we just learn to keep our hands to ourselves, acknowledge social distance and personal space?
Yep.
That's not the comment of the station, guys. This is my personal point of view.
Yes.
I am just so tired of hearing all of these stories.
I don't even want to just say to men in government, just to men, period. To men, period. To parents who have sons and are raising boys, honestly, that makes sense, Jesse. But to parents who have sons, teach them the right way. Can we acknowledge that?
There's a saying that goes, to whom much is given, much is required. And so they know that persons are going to be poking around. Because how long has Governor Cuomo been in politics? Like forever. So he knows that, whatever he does can, and obviously in this case, is being used against him.
Right.
And in court, it's just going to be their word against his. But when you have an 11-to-1 ratio,
and you have state troopers, and you have executive assistants, and you have multiple state troopers who witnessed. Come on, you're telling, and the fact that I want to catch him on that. If we could pull up the article real quick one more time, and if we scroll up a little bit, it was to the point where he basically said that he denied it. And then said he denied it for X, Y, and Z, for, executive number 1, and went down the list. And then he said he specifically denied it for executive 1. And yes, thank you, Thank you. Specifically denied kissing executive number one in Boylan. But see, the previous statement in its testimony said you denied it, period, for all of these people. So how that you just kind of contradicted yourself? How do you specifically deny it for two people, but
So
then
he outed
deny
himself.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Man, you know what? Social and professional ethics is a real thing. And that's a course that used to be in school. I'm not sure if it's still there, but especially for those who are going to be public servants, it has to be on top of the list. The list. Self-control is also a big deal. I don't quite remember at the moment if he is married or not. But at the same time, I'm not saying, men, and I'm not even going to go there. But social and professional ethics, guys. Let's practice that. At least that. Social distancing, acknowledgement of personal space, and then we are good. And if he realizes that, listen, kiss on the cheek or the forehead is getting him bad rap, then just don't.
Just don't do it.
Just don't do it. I mean, for his own sake, for his own sake, not even about his appetite, but for his own sake. It is time the society learn that women are more than tokens. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I completely agree. And so, for us women, and sometimes too, we're not quite sure, and maybe we need to talk about that when these stories come up, when somebody, good touch, bad touch, man, like you greet someone, long is too long to be holding on to my hand, to be holding on to me, to be swiping your hand like an ATM card down my body, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That and you could, that's a whole conversation. I mean, you could get into that and catcalling and how much, it's a whole conversation. Yep.
I totally agree. And we women, we need to stand up for ourselves immediately. If you are uncomfortable about any gesture at all, say so on spot immediately. In Jamaica, we would say you need to loud it up.
Yeah, and I want to say that for whether you're dating someone or not, or your own husband. If your husband you were not in a certain mood, or he would just tell him, no.
Exactly. And don't wait for someone and then someone. Say something. But I understand why sometimes persons may wait. They may not feel the courage to do so, especially if the person is a prominent person in power. So I get that too. But man, it has got to stop. Women are not tokens. Somebody type that in the comments. Women are not tokens. I feel it. I feel it. These allegations keep coming. They're coming and they keep coming. And we just hope that, next time we can either not have that incident at all or catch it really early.
Yeah.
Really, really early. All right. And with that being said, I feel like I need some inspiration.
Yes, please. And we have our inspirational guest. She comes on every single week. We love her. And, it is Coach Racquel with her 21 Behavior Change series. And guys, let me just introduce her. Give her props before she comes on. She is a proven strategist. Racquel is a beneficiary of the Cornell Bank of America Women's Entrepreneurship at Cornell University, where she completed certification in entrepreneurship. She is also a certified career coach. As a child, Coach Racquel endured the countless challenges of poverty firsthand, which ultimately shaped her into the compassionate, courageous individual she is today. And in overcoming such hardships, she has become adept at helping others avoid these. Let me back it up. And in overcoming such hardships, she has become adept at helping others avoid these and other pitfalls of career and life to step into their best versions possible. Above all, with over 15 years of leadership experience, she's a true advocate of positive change in the 21st century, helping individuals and companies achieve their goals. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, ladies? You look so bright and shiny this morning.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, wow. Good morning. And
welcome.
thank you for having me. Yes, thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure.
Yes. So today you're going to be speaking with us about replenishing your knowledge base. And so I hand
Yes.
over to you.
Yes. If it's okay, I'd love to just make a comment on the story you just shared. Is that
Oh,
okay?
yes.
Okay. So it's really, I was watching, there's several shows that I've seen where I've been going through, and just there's this show called, I think it's Cathedral of the Sea or something like that. And in it, they were really depicting back in the day how women were treated, and how they were just abused and used, and men would just have their way. A woman had to be protected in those times. Like, and there are other shows where it's almost as though, well, even in if you Pride and Prejudice is one of my favorite movies. And even in that movie, when you look at it, the woman, she had all girls, and women couldn't inherit at that time. And so the mother was so concerned, because she's like, I've got to get these girls married, right? So they don't become maids. Women have always seemed to for a long time over the years, just to be treated so poorly. Right. And it begs the question, why would we treat the only the only person who can replenish the earth? Is it an attack on the earth? Where is it coming from? Like what is it? This is who bring about newborns, right? And the world cannot go on without women. They're the ones that carry the burden of the child. They're the ones that carry, not I'm saying that children are burdens, but it comes with a burden, the pain of it.
Yes.
9 months of carrying this thing, right? And yet they've been treated so poorly, and they continue to be treated so poorly. I wonder why that is the case. And I guess, so as I listened to you speaking about Governor Cuomo, it's just very sad, because as you hear these news stories over and over again about these men, these older men who have just ravished women, in my opinion.
Frightening, man.
It is. And it just continues. The abuse just continues. And I feel like they just keep getting off the hook. It's like it happens, we speak about it, and it continues to happen. And these are just the ones that have been reported.
Yes.
It's, thank you, ladies, for covering that story and sharing it with us, because those 10 things that you highlighted were, it really gives some insight into the issue and what's been happening. And he's just been denying it. But this is why I think I'm just looking at how women have been treated. It makes the topic that I'm speaking about today so important, I believe. Replenishing your knowledge base. In my opinion, and based on my experience, learning to unlearn in order to unlock wisdom is the first step to freedom. Learning to unlearn in order to unlock wisdom is the first step, I believe, to freedom, right? We owe it to ourselves to unlearn and to learn new things, right? The Bible says, there's a Bible verse that says, and it is, I think it's Corinthians. Oh man, I don't remember where. I think it's in Corinthians, where it says, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. What does that mean? What is it saying? When it says put away childish things, what does that mean? Yeah. Right? It's replenishing information, your knowledge base, right? It's replenishing your knowledge base. It's upgrading. It's like a computer system, right? When you have your computer, every now and again, you have to upgrade it, correct?
Correct.
It's beeping. Every now and again, you have to update it. You have to upgrade it. You have to, in your home, you clean your home, right? Some clean it every day. Some of us cleaner. I have a sister, I love her to bits. And I used to wonder, why is it she always has the mop in her hands? I would be like, man, is that what it means? When I was younger, I used to think, is that what it means to have a home? If I get my own home, am I going to have that mop in my hand all day, every day? It used to freak me out, right? But after I grew up and I understood, oh, she has children. And they're constantly causing a mess, right? Creating a mess. So she was constantly cleaning up behind them, because if she did not do that, then she's going to have a whole lot to do soon on one day. So what she does is she cleans it consistently, so that at the end of the month or the end of the week, she doesn't have a heavy workload. So why then don't we clean our minds? Why then are we not cleaning our knowledge base? Why is it that we can repeat something from 10 years ago as though it is fact today and feel confident in it too? Back in the day, so and so and so happened. So this is how it is. And by no means am I saying history has no place. It does. But if you're using it the same way you did as a child, then I believe you should ask yourself, why am I repeating and regurgitating? How did I process this information? If I'm actually processing and applying it should be upgraded, right? The application at the very least should be different, right? So it is important for us to replenish our knowledge base. I worked so hard to find the quote I told you about last week, where it said, the challenge with education today is not accessing it or getting an education, but the challenge of today is learning to unlearn. Right? Learning to unlearn that which you have learned and it's not that the information sometimes that you're learning is incorrect. It's how you interpreted it that you're unlearning. Because when you were 10 years old, you interpreted it as 10. When you become 22 years old, I would like to think you've lived some more, you've gained some more insight, some more experience and exposure. So when you hear the same information, I imagine that the 10-year-old in you did their best to interpret it at that age, but the 20-year-old would interpret it differently, I would assume, right? And then when you get to 40, 50, the 50-year-old in you hearing the same information would receive it differently or interpret it or add different meanings to it, right? So all I'm saying is remember that you've got to replenish. If when you were 10, you heard something at 20, don't just repeat what you thought it was at 10. But no, upgrade, do some more reading or apply the knowledge that you've learned over time to that which you're examining, and apply your maturity to it, right? Upgrade the information and give yourself a gift. Be willing to denounce that which no longer serve as truth, no matter how attached you are to it. And one of the things we hang on to, even when we get to the 50s and older, childhood trauma. And we hang on to it sometimes the same way we experienced it as a child, but I'm no longer a child. So when I was a child, I was locked up, I was abused, but I'm not a child anymore. So that I'm not a victim of that anymore. I'm a victor now that I'm older, that I see how my pain connected to my purpose and how my purpose attracted abundance for me. See, change the conversation, upgrade it, replenish your knowledge and read, have conversations. And when you read and when you have conversations, be open to the possibility. I was watching Judge Lynn Tuller, somebody who I love her. Yes, I think the thing says, she is something or other with common sense. And I'm telling you, that woman she has some little common sense wisdom, I believe, in my opinion, that just nail it for me. When she said, she made the comment about, oh my, I think it slipped me. But she often talks about how we growth, self-growth, and how we experience things, and then what we use, how we use those experiences as we grow older. You know, we have to upgrade. We have to upgrade. And how we do that is not staying in our own minds. Yeah, this is what she said. She said, for a conversation to be effective, you have to be open to the possibility that you could be wrong. Not that you are wrong, but the possibility that whatever it is that you believe or think could be incorrect. Just the possibility, right? And if for no other reason, that you're human. Right? And sometimes some of us don't upgrade or replenish our knowledge base, and we just keep repeating the same thing over and over. And we just say it in different ways, but we're saying the same thing. Right? So it is important. Why is it important for us to upgrade our knowledge base? Now, here are 3 reasons I believe that it is critical. Number 1, replenishing your knowledge base replenishes your point of view and your perspective, right? It replenishes your perspective, your mindset, the way you see things, the way you perceive things, right? Why is that important? It is important because, let's say you are from you grew up in a space of lack of access, lack of opportunities, lack of anything. Now, if you don't replenish your mindset and your perspective, you can get stuck there. Right? But if you're able to understand, replenish, to gain the more knowledge and understanding of, okay, I may not have this, but I have that. See? I may not, so back then I was in lack. Today I'm not. Updating that information in your mind. So when you tell the story, you're not just stuck at where you were in lack, but you can say, I was in lack, but I'm not there anymore. And now I'm in abundance. That's an upgrade of information. So it's important for you to replenish your knowledge base for your own perspective, for you to expand your paradigm, your perspective, the way you see things, thereby expanding yourself. Right? Number 2, the reason it's important for you to replenish your knowledge base, right, is the more we learn, the more things change. The more we learn, the more things change. I believe that knowledge is applicable to the time, right? Everything I believe is contextual because it's man-made, right? Language is man-made. So everything is contextual. And as you learn, you have to unlearn, because what may be good for yesterday may not be good for today. Look at the COVID virus, the COVID-19, right? Virus. Look how those information change. And look at how we even interact with that information. It's as though when it changes, we're upset. Growth is happening, people. Change is growth. Change makes things better over time. Right? So what was the first one that I said? Let me see if anyone was listening. The first one?
The first one, what I'm going to probably say it incorrectly.
That's okay.
But that I'm going to say it, but unlearning is the first step for growth as far as
expanding your paradigm. Right. The first one is where when you unlearn, you are able to
open up your horizon,
open your perspective. Yes, open your perspective. See things differently. Expand your paradigm. Right. And number 2, the more you learn, the more you need to unlearn. Because what may be relevant for yesterday, last year, may not be relevant for this year. As a matter of fact, shouldn't be relevant for this year if you're in a mindset of growth. Whoever you were in 2020 should not be who you are in 2021. 12 months have passed. That's a whole lot of time. Things are advancing. right? So the more we learn is the more we're supposed to unlearn. So I believe that what we need to have is a formula that we use for ourselves as to how often do I unlearn or upgrade my information. And the third thing is so that you can have something to say, so you can contribute back to the world, right? And so that the world will accept your own growth and your new information, right? Whatever you give is what you receive too. So if you're not open to receiving new information, then who will be open to receiving your new information? So for example, let's say last year or 2 years ago, you were a thief. Yes. But 2 years later, you went to jail, then you went into therapy, then you went and had a family. And this year you're about your family. You're not a thief anymore. Wouldn't you want people to upgrade their information on you? Isn't that important? Or do you want them to just keep saying you're a thief? If we stay stuck in old information, then the world will never advance. So it is critical for us to, as important as we take education, we must take unlearning. Even that said information, the education that we received, we have to be open to the fact that we sometimes have to unlearn that which we were taught to learn the upgraded version. That's why when they have books, they have revised version 1, revised version 2, right? They have the different upgraded versions. Gloria Steinem said, the first problem for all of us, men and women, is not to learn, but to unlearn. And I think sometimes what happens is for individuals who are schooled, who go through the formal school system, I think sometimes we get stuck in that knowledge base, get stuck there. I actually think for someone who's not in the formal education system, who actually learns from the environment, who actually learns from what is happening and the ongoing things that are happening, I think that person who's the ongoing learner in the informal system, someone who's consistently learning, is better off than someone who went through a system and because of that got stuck there and think, oh, I learned this, so this must be it. Right? But upgrades are happening every day, and your mind should not be treated any less than your computer systems, the way you have to de-virus it, you have to defragment it, you have to clean it. Oh my goodness, you have things where you have to block things from coming in. You have to, constantly empty the trash. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yet with our own minds, sometimes we just carry on with the things that we've learned and not necessarily take the time to read a book, travel somewhere, meet some new people who challenge your thoughts. God forbid for some of us, should someone challenge our thoughts. We're not open to that at all. I know this and I know this. So this isn't right, I believe. Whatever you knew yesterday, the possibility of that changing today is so strong that chances are whatever that existed yesterday perhaps don't even exist today. I think we get so stuck in the Monday, Tuesday with the labels that we give the days that we forget that it's a new day. Because we call today Monday or Friday or Saturday, because we call it Saturday doesn't make it so. It's actually a new day. But systems have been put in place in order for order, right? So we have to understand that I implore you to take the time to defragment the mind, like cleanse it, right? Detox your mind, empty the knowledge you have sometimes, throw away some of it and get some new, because you're learning new things every day. Apply some of that, right? But whatever you do, replenish your knowledge base. You've got to. And here are some ways that you can actually replenish your knowledge base. Read more. Just pick up a book. Read a chapter a day. Engage in conversations. This is why we have shows like this, to engage in conversation about topics. So we're learning new things that are happening and learning how to deal with it and understanding new topics and new issues, just new knowledge circulating, right? So you can listen to the news. And because I say listen to the news, it doesn't necessarily mean one particular news, but just different things to learn what new things are happening. Stay up to, and you know what is very key to read journals, Don't just read magazines, read journals, research journals. Look at what data is being presented. Pew Research is a good place to start. Just read research reports and see what's just to know what's happening, right? Read inspirational books, motivational books, right? And don't just read the Bible. And I think some people get stuck at the Bible.
Yeah.
Stuck at the Bible, right? And don't upgrade even the concepts therein in the Bible. The concepts within, we just say, oh, this is what happened, that's what happened. Everything is contextual, including the Bible. It happened at a time. It's contextual. It doesn't mean that the message isn't potent, but you are the one who now needs to apply
the message. Yeah.
Exactly. Right? So you should be applying it. It should become applicable based on context, today's context. And that's why sometimes I think people are not able to respond to the biblical messages the way we want them to, because we're still stuck back in those times, and people feel as though, and for persons who are, especially younger people, how do they connect to what is old in your mind if you don't upgrade that information and present it in a way that they can connect with it, right?
Yeah.
So don't just read your Bible, but read new information. Also pay attention to what's happening around you. Really have an open mind and learn from your environment. Instead of critiquing something, learn from it. Instead of opposing something, learn from it. Yes. And this one, I think this is my number one suggestion and recommendation. Travel, people, travel. Get out of your one spot. Go to another community, right? Go to another country. Learn and see what other people do. Learn. It's so funny because when I started learning about Thailand and stuff like that, I started watching this vlog, SAS vlogs, and just the way they treat vegetables, I'm like, I never thought of vegetables that way. They eat protein and vegetables, and I've tried it, and it's actually amazing. You know, and I have to be re-engineering my mind to explore. I don't have to eat just things in my own culture. I can experience other cultures. I can go to other places. I can expand my mind so I can see other realities. So I can understand that I'm not stuck where I am. So travel. Travel is so important. I think travel is an essential. How can you not get out of your own district and go to see what the life of other people are like? And also when you travel, sometimes you can take your knowledge and you can sell your knowledge. You know that? You can monetize that knowledge. You can travel to Thailand and learn something in Thailand and come back to your own home country. And what you learn in Thailand, you can package that and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
It expands you, right, in so many ways. So it's important for us not to get stuck in our current information, in our past information. And I think I spoke on here once before about our conversation in time, where some people, all they do is regurgitate old information. You get into a conversation with them and all they're telling you about is what happened. How about what's going to happen? How about what's next? Sometimes we get stuck in past conversations. Sometimes we even get stuck in present conversations instead of engaging in future conversations. So instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm poor, you can change that to say, I'm going to get abundance in the future. Oh, tomorrow is going to be a better day. Today may look like this, but tomorrow, oh my goodness, is a new day. And anything is possible. Anything can happen because we get surprised all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go to bed with one concern. Some of my concerns, I can't even remember them. I woke up and it was a whole new day. See, so I want to leave you with this message. Don't get stuck in Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Be careful not to get stuck in those days, because those days sometimes, the fact that they're labeled sometimes rob us of the wonders of the unknown. the greatness of the unknown, because we've already decided tomorrow is Sunday. In our minds, we already know what happened on Sunday. Somebody's now sitting on saying, yeah, I'm going to church tomorrow. You don't know that. But you're going to go because you're creating it today. You're not going to go to church just because it's Sunday. You're choosing to go to church tomorrow because you choose to see tomorrow as Sunday. You could decide that tomorrow is Friday. I'm going to the beach too. You could. Yeah. Whether or not the world agrees with you doesn't matter. Whether or not other people observe it the same way doesn't matter. For example, for me, Friday is at the beginning of the week after Sunday for me. That's Friday. That's my day. That's my good day. I don't have no Monday blues. You know? And wherever Monday falls, then it falls. But don't get trapped in the knowledge that you have, because that's sometimes that knowledge trap us. It happens to me too, where I'll see someone one way, and you know, like you see someone one way, and it's like you get stuck seeing them that way when they're evolving, they're changing every day. So they hurt you yesterday. That they're not the same person today. We hope anyway.
Yeah.
That person have learned some new things. Who says they're going to hurt you tomorrow? Sometimes we get stuck there. We get trapped. It happened to me. Get trapped there at seeing them in their failures, as opposed to understanding that happened last year. Tomorrow is a whole new day. We don't know what can happen. And we never know what can happen. But we keep speaking your life into being. So all I'm saying is be careful, or be conscious, be mindful about how you repeat your circumstances based on an inability to unlearn. Replenishing your knowledge base should be a critical thing for you to do on a daily, minutely basis. Like every minute, every day, you have to upgrade your mindset. So you have to keep replenishing your knowledge base so that you can grow, so that your paradigm can expand, so that you can unlearn as you learn, and so that you don't get trapped in your life. Thank you for having me on the show. Are there any questions for me?
No, thank you so much, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's it. All right, Marsha, what you thought? I completely agree with Coach. I loved it. Marsha looks like her screen may be a little bit frozen, guys. So up next, we are, going to go to our talent portion of the day. And we are going to just do a quick highlight on the Stellar Awards. So our talent recap is where we review and interview people and activities in the creative arena. And on August 1st, it was aired, the Stellar Awards were aired, and the Stellar Award is an award presented by SAGMA to recognize achievements in the gospel music industry. The annual presentation ceremony features performances by prominent gospel artists and the presentation of those awards that have a popular interest. And what I love about it is that it not only highlights the grades, but also highlights the newcomers, the artists that you probably never heard of, or are on the radio a lot. When I saw it, there's a picture coming up of the Clark sisters, and I know was it last year or the year above, the year 2019, where they had the Clark sisters movie come out. We have Pastor Mike, we have Jonathan McReynolds, and guys, what also another thing is that they are powerful singers. We have CeCe Winans, we know and love her, and we know that last week our guest Orville Sutherland, he actually won an award, the Sterling Award, 2 awards, the Sterling Awards in Jamaica. and he was an awardee. And I don't know if we also have that interview there, but yes, that is him, Male Artist of the Year for the Sterling Award Gospel Music Awards in 2021. If you guys want to go back last week episodes and watch that, you guys could watch that because it's an amazing interview with him. And I feel it's really prominent to highlight that because these are musicians, these are talents that really motivate us, that a lot of people listen to on the day-to-day basis. And yes, I do want to clarify, they are two different awards. So I just mentioned him as just an awardee component, but the Sterling Awards, Male Artist of the Year, Orville Sutherland, he is a Jamaican artist. This is an award given in Jamaica, versus the Stellar Awards. I know it sounds very similar. The Stellar Awards specifically is a nationwide award in America. But yeah, guys, and if we could click on the Stellar Academy on their website right there. I would love to play some videos if we can't, guys, because these, you know these singers. You want to hear CeCe Winans and Pastor Mike. Come on. But if we go to we can start with some information with them. We can play. We can't. Okay, I'm getting feedback saying that we can play some. Oh, we can't. Right. We cannot play, guys. Sorry about that. I wish we could, but we can't. But if we scroll up, it's due to copyright. I know, guys. But if we scroll up real quick on the page there, and keep on scrolling. Okay, so we do have technical, it's kind of going all over the place, but you could download a free copy of the Stellar Awards brochure and packet that they have, and they also have the Stellar Academy, which I wanted to highlight. The Stellar Awards Gospel Music Academy, or SAGMA, a not-for-profit organization, supports, encourages, and promotes gospel music worldwide. SAGMA is an umbrella association that provides an environment for industry professionals to mobilize their efforts in promoting gospel music. And if we could click there for more information real quick. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, so real quick, what is the Stellar Awards again? Like I just mentioned, SAGMA is an umbrella association that provides an environment for industry professionals to mobilize their efforts in promoting gospel music. The cost, it's an annual membership of $95, and some of the benefits. Annual membership is valid for 1 full year from the time of registration. Complimentary access to scheduled Stellar Academy master classes in months leading to the 2021 Stellar Awards. And they're in April, May, and June. Granted, those are the months that they have, and then it will be broadcasted at a later date. Complimentary and early access to information and invitations prior to info release to the public. And we have we have pictures of the current SAGMA members, and you could become a member now. And if you scroll up, there was a quote by a gentleman, a CEO, that I wanted to right there. Yep. A quote by John Jackson, chairman and CEO. We especially need new artists to join and get involved to grow the entire gospel music industry. We thank you. And guys, I just wanted to highlight that. Marsha, how are you?
Yes, I am back, Jessie. Thank you.
All right. We were just highlighting the Stellar Awards, and specifically also the Stellar Academy, where they really do feature and want to grow new artists who can join the Stellar Academy. to feature new artists. And as a gospel singer yourself, I wanted to know, the benefits of what you thought of the benefits of, getting into the community and learning and mentoring, having mentors.
Definitely, and not just, and first let me acknowledge the forerunners of the Stellar Awards. I think it was a brilliant idea. Have this, and more popularly for that was he did a lot in the arena in terms of showcasing new artists and actually educating them. But where any network is concerned in terms of gospel music, networking, like I mentioned before, is a big deal, and also the education, because I've always said that there is the ministry, the industry, and the artistry of what it is that we do as art. And the truth is, every information is everywhere, but actually at the same time. So when you can invest in yourself by becoming a part of networks like these, it may add value to you as the artist. Can anyone join? Great question. They have their credentials that you have to have in order to become a part of their academy. And of course, my recommendation personally, aside from their recommendation, is don't enter these circles unless you are serious about your talent, serious about what it is that you do, because when you get in, then it becomes so fast, like a lot of things happen, and things like that. But the great thing too is that the showcase talent is amazing, and you get global coverage because the Stellar Awards itself is a really big deal. To be nominated for a category and to be selected is something that's absolutely powerful and can do a lot for your reputation and your resume as a person who is an artist or music minister, as some may call it. So I really do love whenever it's the Stellars. And just to mention that even though the recordings are now out and persons are watching from the green room to the live performances, there is going to be a replay tonight. You just need to check your local listings to see when it will be in your area or on your station. Yeah. You can.
Oh, I think Keith.
You can begin. Oh,
yeah.
Can begin.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jessie.
I think Keith. Keith was talking about when she was talking about experiencing different cultures and different ideas. And that comment, I believe he says you can begin by checking out different cultures online. Yes. So if you're not able to travel due to whether it's financial, reasons, or you're sick or whatever it may be, you can at least start to begin learning about other cultures online and books. And if you come in contact with someone that happens to be of a different ethnicity than you, you don't feel afraid to, talk to them. If you notice an accent, you can say, sorry, I noticed, do you mind me asking, but where are you from? And start a conversation a little bit that way.
Definitely.
So yeah, thanks, Keith.
Yeah, and there is a Stella magazine, and it's absolutely free. And I'm going to be posting that in a bit. So the Stella magazine actually has information that is very vital to you as well. We're looking at the award main website, and you can see nominees, as Jessie had mentioned before, and so on and so forth. But when you can have the magazine, and it's always so beautifully done, by the way, you can also look back and see, how you can join in different types of information, sponsors, how you can join, how you can sponsor if you choose to, how you can join, what's new, what's happening, what is coming. So I've always been a fan. That's Don Jackson, who is the founder of the Stellar Awards, and he has a special message that's inside. And it's just a beautiful collation of information and graphics, and definitely information you can use to develop yourself as an artist. I personally look forward to it every year, Jessie. So yeah, uplifting, positive, inspirational. If you're into those three things, then definitely you want to check out the Stellar Awards, not just for your favorite artist, guys. And yes, go on ahead, vote, but don't just sit on the sidelines, but get in, get involved. Persons normally start in phases like from a local level. Maybe your community has a talent competition. You start there. Then maybe, for instance, I can use Jamaica as an example. Let's say you started in school, talent competition. Then something for the community like the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, have activities there. And then you can move on to, for instance, the Sterling Awards. That's something that's Caribbean. And then you can move on to the Stellars. Yes. And our magazine is coming out soon. We want you to know that as well. And we want you to look out for it. Remember, please subscribe to our website, umeradio.com. We will be featuring deals. We will be featuring, let's say, members within our network, information you can use, and our guests will be featured in the magazine as well. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be vibrant, and you do not want to miss out. Once you have subscribed to our website, whatever new is coming, Jessie, they can actually have access to it. You can learn more about us as the hosts. You can learn more about shows. And of course, we are big on highlighting information in what we would like to call the triad. I'm getting tongue-tied this morning.
I
We
know.
feature the Caribbean, US, and Africa.
Yes. And we have a voting app coming soon. So
Yeah. So
while
we're in that segment now. Okay,
yes,
great.
yes, and while that is coming soon, actually comment in the comment section down below. What do you think we should call this magazine? Let us know. Voting via our app. So you'll be able to vote via the app. I shared it earlier this morning, but comment down in the section. What do you think we should call our magazine?
Awesome. And with that being said, we want to go into our DJ top 5 and listen. Coming soon, you will be able to vote on our app for the DJ top 5 starting on Monday. Yeah. Yes. So if you are on the go, listen, it's going to be amazing. We have just been upgrading like crazy, and we want you to be a part of it, guys. So download the app, whether you're international, app.umeradio.com, or if you are in the US or anywhere else. Oh, okay. Let me pull back, guys. Let me slow down because I'm way too excited. Voting for the DJ will be in the magazine. The magazine will be on the app as at Monday. So remember to check it out, and you can vote. Jesse, let's talk about that whole process of voting.
Yeah, guys. So voting is simple, so simple. If you go onto our website, umeradio.com/DJ-top5, you would be able to see 5 stars. And you're able to see our song selections, our top 5 song selections from all the DJs, not just me and Marsha, but also DJ Kelly, DJ KTE, and Lady Misty. Here are through our selection, and select which ones are your favorite. You can select multiple. And if we scroll down here, then you'll be able to see you select each of the DJs that are your top 5 and select, how many stars would you rate your overall experience, 1 to 5, and then simply click the button vote, and that is it, guys. Super simple.
Yeah.
So again, for you to vote, you can go on www.umeradio.com/DJ-top5.
And of course, Jesse, they can also see the pictures of the different DJs for this station. It's not just Marsha J and Jesse, because this is the weekend show, but we do have Finding Happy with Coach Racquel, so you can vote for her playlist as well as DJ KTE and Lady Misty. Let's Talk Relationships, guys. These are songs of inspiration, spiritual songs that are just positive and uplifting, and songs that maybe you know, maybe you don't know. You may want to add it to your playlist. And if you have a song that you haven't seen and you want us to add it to our playlist, ding ding ding, guys, send it in, let us know. We'd be more than happy to incorporate your thoughts and your music into our DJ top 5. So, Jesse, what are your top songs for this week?
All right, give me one moment, girl. Give me one moment. My top 5 for this week is a part 2. How do you say it? How did I say it last time? It's a double. It's a double.
Okay.
So, Good God Almighty by Crowder. Then we have Precious by Mark Barlow. Here I Am to Worship by Hillsong. Deliver Me by Donald Lawrence. And last but not least, I Smile by V. Kirk.
Yes, and just like you, Jesse, I'm doing Double or Nothing. It's so nice. I had to do it twice on my playlist this week again. Wide as the Sky by Isabel Davis. Number 2, Holy Spirit, You Are Welcome by Mutabir. And Amplified Praise. 3, I Will Exalt You by Darrell Walls. And 4, Bow Down and Worship by Benjamin Dubé out of Africa. And listen, this last song has just been on rotation in my devotions for about 2 weeks. Whenever I listen to it, it's almost like it takes me to a whole other place. The Hebrew word for Jesus is Yeshua. And so the song Yeshua by Jesus Image has just been, shout out to you guys, because you guys just know how to do the worship in such a way that it takes us absolutely in. And, thank you for that experience. Thank you for that experience, guys. And so this is our DJ top 5 for this week. Yes. And so we invite you to vote umeradio.com/DJ top 5. Any last words on that, Jesse?
Vote for DJ Jesse. I'm just saying, you got to vote.
What? Are you serious? Or Marsha. Who you're gonna vote for. We know who you're gonna vote for this week. All right. At the end of the month, we'll be able to see who has won the vote. We'll see who's leading. Next week we give you an update, but we know who's leading. Okay.
You know what I think we should also do? We could do show for show.
Yes. Get the other shows up in this segment and let's have a conversation.
We could do show for show, okay? Just saying.
Totally agree. And with that being said, we slide into Because of You, We Can. All right. So today, good morning. Dr. Perspective himself is in the building. Distinguished Godfrey McAllister. Listen, sir, I absolutely love your energy already. Thank you for being
Thank you very much. Stop laughing, man. Sure. I'm not a comedian, Sure.
It's such a pleasure having you here with us this morning, Dr. McAllister. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. On top of the world, looking down on creation and feeling awesome.
Oh, wow. I love it. Jesse, don't you?
I love it. I can't get enough already.
Oh, my goodness. So we are here this morning to have a conversation about Toastmasters, but a bit about Dr. McAllister before we begin. Dr. Godfrey McAllister is a record-making, record-holding, distinguished Toastmaster. He is a 2017 World Champion of Public Speaking, finalist, and a 4-time District Impromptu Speaking Champion. He is a conceptualizer and international coordinator of the Worldwide Impromptu Speaking Extravaganza, or WISE, a showcase of Toastmasters International's greatest impromptu thinkers and speakers. Dr. McAllister is a motivated speaker and author. His trademarked name is Dr. Perspective. His trademarked mantra is, the only thing over which you have complete control is your perspective. And he is here with us this morning. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being here, sir. So we want to open the floor this morning by asking you to just give us, tell us about Toastmasters.
Okay. Let me tell you what Toastmasters is not, okay?
Okay.
Toastmasters is not a kitchen appliance brand. Well, it might be, but not the one I belong to. Good. Neither do we, well, I guess we do toast. Yes, we go to weddings and other things and toast. You don't toast at funerals, right? Do you? No. You toast at weddings. Yeah, that's right. So we go to weddings and we toast and we give impromptu speeches and we talk and we chat and so on. But more importantly, Toastmasters is an organization that, first of all, is about 97 years old. So we've been about the place a long time, right? We've been about the place a long time. 97 years old, birth in California. Now we exist in about 144 countries around the world. Yes. And basically, we encourage persons to hone their communication and leadership skills. Our mantra now is, and I say now because it was modified in the last 10 years, I think. Our mantra is now, where leaders are made. It used to be honing your your communication and leadership skills. Now they've figured out that you cannot be a leader if you cannot communicate. Yeah, man. You can communicate and not be a leader, but you can't be a leader and not communicate. And you know that communication is a very interesting term. Some people feel that the minute you open your mouth, you start to communicate. Some people feel that the minute you do something with your hand or your body, you start to communicate. But when we say communicate, technically speaking, what we really mean is effectively communicating so that you understand what I intend you to understand. And by your actions or attitude, you indicate that you understand what I intended you to understand. Now, how often does that happen? Very rarely. That's why you have something called misunderstanding. So we help people to lose their fear of publicly communicating because we're not afraid to talk on cell phone. You know what I mean? And we're not afraid to chat and gossip on the telephone and in the chat and all them things there. But when it comes to public speaking, wow. When we get before the microphone, all of a sudden we feel that the microphone will come and bite us. No, that is a fear. It's a phobia, and we help people to overcome that fear. We also help people to think on their feet. All right, I'm not standing, I'm sitting. So we also help people to think on their seat, okay? Right, so whether on your feet or on your seat, we help you to think before you speak. Yes. And can I explain all of that in 50 minutes? No, I can't do it. You have to join Toastmasters to even begin to understand. But that's what we do. And we have about what? Almost 17,000 clubs all over the world. Yeah, man. In some countries that you probably will not even think that we are in. Yes, we're not partial. We're not partial. So we are in just about every country in the world, certainly most of the countries in the world. And guess what? We are in New York, and we are in the tri-state, of course, Connecticut and New Jersey. And wherever you live right now, I guarantee you, if you go to toastmasters.org, that is toastmasters.org, and look for the sign of look for the little thing at the top that says find a club, I guarantee you, you will find a club near you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Dr. McAllister. I'm seeing here, well, you have your membership actually exceeds 364,000, which is telling us that whatever Toastmasters does, it works. It works. Now, may I ask you to give us your top 3, because I know you have a lot of gems. Your top 3 tips for public speaking, just off the top of your head. Top 3 tips.
I'm not finding any, So don't make So let us forget the top of the head part, right? Because that's not going on very well this morning. All right, good. And you had to call a bald head man to ask him to talk with the top of his head, right? However, look, first of all, have something to say. How is that? Some people not have nothing to say, and them full of chat. And them chatting, and then I have nothing to say. So, as simple as it may sound, it is profound.
Yes.
Have a message. Have a message. Believe in your message. If you don't believe you, then don't ask me to believe you. You must be convinced that your message is authentic. You must be convinced that your delivery is articulate, and you must be convinced that it is accurate. So there's a lot of work that goes on before you get to the public speaking part. The next thing is this. If you are in let's say you are in a rum bar. What do you call it here now? Back from where I come from, they call it a rum bar. What do you call it? A liquor saloon? I don't know, whatever. But a place where they're serving high liquor and, everybody is doing this and they're topless dancers. I'm just speaking from what I read here, so don't bother with me now, It's just I read about these things. Good, right? Good. That may not be the best place to pull out your Bible and try to preach a sermon. People may not be ready to hear that. They may not be. It may not be the appropriate message for that particular place and time. So it's very important that you know that what you have to say that people want to hear, that people need to hear. Now, in most scenarios in public speaking, you are invited to speak, whether it's a formal occasion or you're at a wedding and somebody just says, hey, the person who was supposed to toast the groom got sick. But I know that you are a friend of the groom. Would you please come and tell us a little bit about the groom? It's always an invitation. But notice what the person said. We know that you are a friend of the groom. Therefore, would you please come and tell us something about the groom? Very seldom are you asked to speak out of your knowledge zone. So people want to hear what you have to say. Now, let us put it together now. If you have a message, you don't have to wait for an invitation to speak. You don't have to wait for a public opportunity. You have a message. You want to deliver that message. You are God's gift to the world. You are a treasure in earthen vessels. You have something to say that God has given you, that God has downloaded into your spirit. You are bubbling. You are waiting for an opportunity to get it out. That ought to be your attitude all the time. Now, when you have a message and somebody is in need of that message and they give you the honor, they pay you the tribute, oh my goodness, they flatter you by asking you to be the one to enlighten their darkness, to relieve the heavy load on their hearts. My God, thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. Tell me something now. Where did fear come in? Tell me now. Though the Bible says perfect love casts out fear. So if you love the people, you love the message you have, and you want to share it, there's no room for fear. So I don't know if that's a top 3 or a top 10 or a top 6, but that's my philosophy of being fearless in public speaking.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. I want to pause right here to remind you that you are watching Weekends with Marsha, Jay, and Jesse, and you are inside because of you, Toastmasters. We're here with Dr. Godfrey McAllister, distinguished Toastmaster. I want to go over to the comments, Jessie. Well, we have some comments happening. Share with us.
We have Mim masterclassing, such a delightful guest. We also have Let's Talk Relationships Facts, listening to understand, not just to respond. Good morning, Dexter Pierre. Good morning. Thank you. Hi,
Dexter.
Hi, Dexter. We have Mim masterclass actually is a question. They are saying, how important is listening in the communication process?
If you want to effectively communicate, essentially, you must not only know what you want to say, you also need to know what the other person wants to hear. But most importantly, perhaps, you need to know what the other person is hearing. So you want to say something, they want to hear what you have to say, but what are they hearing? The only way that you will figure that out is by listening. And some people say, well, God gave us 2 ears to listen, right? To listen with, right? Yes, that's true. But he gave us other things with which we can listen to. You never know that. Yeah, man. We can listen with our eyes. In my early days doing martial arts, one of the first things that I was taught is that when you bow, you notice where my eyes are?
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how low I bow, you never take your eyes off the opponent. Now, in public speaking, the audience is not the opponent, but the audience is the target. And you have to be listening to them with your ears, listening to them with your eyes to observe their body language, to observe whether they're restless or not. Are they smiling? Are they frowning? Are they going through their phones? And I know these days you go through your phones to do all sort of things, including good things. But whatever you think the distraction is likely to be, or you perceive it to be, you then need to adjust your style. Probably ask a question to one of the people that you just saw yawn. You probably need to ask them a question, etc., etc., etc.
Yes, thank you so much for that. I let us know, how can we become a part of Toastmasters? How can we join?
If you want to become a member of, or if you want to become a Toastmaster, the good thing is that we give you a chance. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. You ever been to market? I don't mean the supermarket. Well, even them. Supermarket in America allow you to try before you buy in some cases. I see some people go to the supermarket hungry, and by the time them eat a grape, eat a this, eat a that, eat a this, eat a that, and don't need to buy nothing after that. Guys, have it? But normally speaking, when you go to the market, we call them in Jamaica the bend down market. All right, good. When you go to the market, try and buy is not really a good thing. Neither is feel up. No. We want you to just buy because the people have them goods to sell. When you come to Toastmasters now, you can try and buy. You can attend a meeting free of charge. Attend another meeting free of charge. Go to another club free of charge. And if you want, you can go to a Toastmasters meeting once a week, every week of the year, and try all of them and not buy none of them. That is how fool we are as Toastmasters. But you know who more fool than we? You know, I tell you now. If the cap fit, you can wear it. Because by doing that, what you're doing is denying yourself the opportunity to be planted, to take root, and to grow. You got to get involved in a club. You got to be there week after week. You got to face the hard balls. You got to go through the process. Like every farmer, like every seed, there's a process. And so once you decide that this is the club that you like, then you become a member. Now, the membership fees for Toastmasters, somebody call it a master class, what I'm doing now. Well, you should come to the club. It could be anything from $1,000 a year. No, $1,000 is for the whole year, It could be anything from that, not above that. It could be less than that, though. $1,000 for the year. How that's so? Talk to me now.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
What
Yes.
currency are we talking about? Because remember, we're on an international platform. So is it
I
100
apologize.
units?
I apologize. All right. My head tough. Me no. My head tough. I'm sorry. I apologize. We're talking about Uncle Sam dollars. Uncle Sam dollars. Less, not more. It could be less than $1,000 for the whole year. You can go to a toast. When you become a member of one club, you become a member of all the clubs in the world. You can take a plane and go to any country, and you're a member still. And you can visit different clubs every day of the year. Less than $1,000. Less than $900.
Yes.
Less than 8. Less than 7. Less than 6. Less than 5. Less than 4. My God. Less than 3. Less than 2.
Thank you for that. That you're amazing. You know that Dr. McAllister, you are just a delight.
$95 for the whole year. And the local club may add some little extras to take care of the rental of the place and them kind of thing, or the rental of the Zoom platform. In other words, it's almost like if they never charge at all. Dirt cheap.
Understood. Yes, thank you so much for that. Just we have some more comments coming in.
Yeah, so we have one from Min Masterclass saying, sometimes when I am listening to someone who is speaking with me, I often ask questions trying to understand what they are telling me or what they are seeking for me to understand. But when I ask questions for clarity, they sometimes get defensive. What do you think may be causing that?
Okay, thank you for that question. Very, very good question. It's very difficult for me to give a professional answer to a question that I cannot properly define. And I'm going to do to you now what they do to you, right? I'm going to ask you the question. I'm going to say to you, if you want me to give you the real answer to that, I got to see you. I got to see your face. Yes. I have to see how you make up your face or how you don't make it up. Remember, we communicate not only with our lips and our speech and so on, we also communicate with our attitude. So if you, for instance, smile, yes, that's why we must brush our teeth every morning, okay? Yes, it's a good thing to do. Brush your teeth every morning because you're going to have to smile as a part of the communication process. So if you smile and you drop your voice into a non-aggressive tone, the chances are people will be less defensive when you seek clarification. Or you can say to them, this is what I understand you to be saying, but sometimes I don't always get it right. We call that self-deprecation, where you put the joke on yourself. That's okay. That's all right. That's all right. So I'm to blame. You're speaking very well, but I don't always get it right. This is what I think I understand. Tell me if I'm right. And then you tell them what you understand. But your tone of voice and your manner is all important.
How do you
Jesse, can I interject before you ask the next question? Yeah. Were you going to the next question or you had a follow-up?
No, I had a follow-up question to that.
Okay, go ahead. And then, because we are out of time, but let's go.
Okay, last question. What's the best way to deal with that for someone who tends to have an aggressive tone or defensive tone all the time, and you don't know how to navigate that and be like, hey, you don't need to get angry with me. You don't need to. I just simply asked a question and they're just like immediately on defense or angry and there's no communication there.
Okay. Can you understand why my coaching or teaching sessions don't last for 50 minutes?
I know. I know.
Because it's almost impossible for me to give you a professional, and by professional I mean accurate, authentic answer to that question. Because I have a question again before I can answer that question. Who are we talking about? Are we talking about somebody who is disposable? Or are we talking about a spouse?
Okay, let's say someone who is a personal, you can't dispose of them. Whether it's like a child or a spouse, or so you can't throw them away.
you are stuck. So here's what I would say in a small nutshell. Life is all about negotiation, communication. When you are trying to sell something, when you're trying to get your idea across, it's all about negotiation. Some people are very sensitive to the other person, quote unquote, winning the argument as they perceive it. Good. So what you need to do sometimes is, if you have an important point to make, let's say that important point is valued at 100 units. You must be prepared to concede a minor point that is valued to you 20 units. It's give and take. If you're always the one with the answer, especially if you're a woman and it's a man you're dealing with, and I don't mean, I mean a real man, okay? Yeah. You deal with a real man, and you are the woman, and you're always right. That can't work, you know? And that is not how God make it to work, you know? Make Adam first, then Eve. So Adam might not be bright, he might not be smart, but him is Adam. He needs to be right at least occasionally. So I'm sorry about that. So if you want to get across your point, and he is resentful, you might need to concede a few minor points to him so as to boost his ego. Oh my God. Yes, his ego. We all have it. And men have it more. And if you want to communicate with him, and he's all those things that you are suggesting he is, or whoever the person is all those things that you suggest, then perhaps you need to give a little in order to get much.
Yeah.
Give a little to get much. All right, so I'm just going to go back to the comments really quick. Min Masterclass says, thank you. Context is important. Eastern Merritt, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Keith Merritt says, speak Lord. Speak Lord. Okay, how do you handle when you are speaking with someone who you communicate and they start a whole new subject in the conversation without responding or acknowledging what was said in the first place?
Okay, so clearly you are saying something to the person that is not important to that person. And I think we covered that at the very beginning. By the way, sometimes the best way to communicate, can anybody tell me?
Is not
sometimes the best way, what's that?
Not to? Not say a word.
Listen to me, man. You're too bright. Sure. You're too bright. Your mother invests too much in you, or your father. Sure. Sometimes the best way to communicate is not say nothing. Don't say nothing. Just in other words, if the person is not interested in what you are saying, then why are you wasting your time? Remember we said have a message, but the message must have an audience, a receptive audience, a willing audience. And somebody once said, when the student is ready, what? The teacher will show up. So if you are in the role of the teacher in that moment, you have a message, you want to give it, you think the person wants to hear it, but the person changes the subject. Come on, don't brook stick in your ears. That is a clear sign. Them don't want to listen to what you have to say. So you have to now decide how to move on or move out, whatever.
Powerful. And we have more. How do I seek understanding in a conversation without asking questions?
So we come back to listening. Listening is very important. And again, look, because I charge a lot of money for my services, you see, I am not going to sell myself short on this short program, you know. And all of those profound questions that you want short answers to, yeah? I'm not going to jump in a lake, you know. All right. How do you how do you get information without asking questions? That's essentially what I hear. Now, listening is important. If you listen long enough, hard enough, yeah, we can listen hard, yeah, you will get an idea as to what the person is trying to tell you. But I'm one of those people who believe that questions are our best defenses. Questions are our best weapons. And so I will never teach a class that even suggests that there is something that can replace a question. Miss Jessie,
Yeah.
you ever create any somebody? Sorry. Have you ever created anybody? Created? No. Right.
No.
And Miss, I'm sorry. My other star lady there.
Marsha.
Marsha. Misha. Okay, yeah. You can tell that I'm a first timer, right? Okay, good. Mm-hmm. Have you ever created anybody?
If I have ever
Created.
No.
Yeah. You never created anybody. Well, I know somebody who has created a whole heap of somebody named God.
Yes.
And one of the people that can create is the baby. Remember? Some of us just born, bloop, grew up big. But most of us come as baby. Right. Do you know what God put into every baby? And those of you who are mothers or fathers will say, yeah, he nailed it now. You know what God put into every baby? We don't hear it in the early days and probably the first year, but by the time them reach 2, tell me what God put into every baby. Tell me. The question, why?
Babble.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
And I know some parents have been driven almost mad because every time they answer the question, the child says, why? So the earth is wrong. Why? I don't know why the earth is wrong. The earth is just wrong. No. He wants to know why. In other words, God has implanted in our DNA the desire to ask the question why, or to question things so that we can learn. So let us learn to question. Let us learn to frame our questions. Let us learn to do everything about the question. But in my opinion, as a communicator, trying to avoid the question is a formula for failure. So we got to do some lessons on how to ask the question. I gave a little hint already. Your body language is important. I can ask the question aggressively. I can ask the question defensively. Did I show you the aggressive part? Oh, what a go on? Who you think you are? All right, aggressively.
Yes.
I can smile and hang my head a little bit to the side and ask the same question non-aggressively, non-invasively. But we can't cover all of that in such a short time. The important thing is this: let us work on how to ask the question. Let us not even think of getting rid of the question. The question is your best friend, whether in aggressive dialogue or defensive dialogue.
Right, let's look at some comments.
Yeah.
Because I know that was a lot.
Yes,
And we have Sin Merritt that says, wonderful. Keith Merritt saying, a gentle reminder. Min Masterclass saying, not to say the word. Well said, thank you. Sometimes we know the answers, but we don't want to accept them. Keith also saying, the good says, and all are getting, we should get, understand. Marsha, I'm not sure.
The good book.
Yes, in all our getting, we should get understanding.
Min also says, that was me and still is. That was in relation to always asking why. And Easton says, heavy duty. Yeah, that was a lot. It's a lot.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Wow. Refreshing to have you on the program this morning, Dr. McAllister. And thank you so much for sharing with us your nuggets not just about Toastmasters, but nuggets. And definitely this should maybe prompt, motivate everyone to become a part of Toastmasters simply because communication is an everyday process, is it not? Right.
Yes, it is.
Right. And communicating effectively is something that we should all want to achieve in our various relationships, whether it's in the schoolroom, it's in the workplace, in our relations, man, woman, boy, girl, in our families, and listen, we have to have you back. Can I say that out loud, Jesse?
Yes, and we have a question that asks from Easton, where do you practice?
Thanks to COVID, we practice everywhere. Just give me a call and we'll set it up. Okay, I live in Florida, but as I said, most of my practice.
The time is 10 o'clock a.m.
Well, that's my digital secretary. I forgot to tell her to shut her mouth. I apologize for that. But at least we know the time in Florida now, right? And I think it's the same time there, no? Okay, good. Yeah, so rather than answer that question directly, if anybody wants to contact me, I believe you have my number, my telephone number, and my email address. My number is 954-299-9394. The best way to contact me is through WhatsApp so that I can get a chance to look at who is calling. You know it already, right? My email address is neuromotivator@gmail.com. You can also write to drperspective@gmail.com. That's okay. And the website that you will find me most visible on now is wiseclubs.org, because that's where I am spending most of my time now as I prepare that international event that you probably heard about.
All right, Dr. McAllister, Dr. Perspective. Thank you so much for being with us here today on Weekends with Marsha and Jesse. And please, we do hope, and we definitely want you to come again and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 10:01 and we are still inside Weekends with Marsha J and Jesse, and we just completed our segment Because of You We Can, and we spoke about Toastmasters, and we had our very special guest, distinguished Toastmaster Mr. Godfrey McAllister. Yes, thank you so much for being with us on weekends. Join us this and every at AM right here, same time, same place. And now we go into our segment, Voice of Truth. Thank you, Easton. Excellent segment.
Welcome to Voice of Truth, where we take a look inside migration and immigration stories, community health issues, and stories of hope, based on the experiences of migrants who are people of color. We use other people's stories as a cautionary tale and point of reference to enhance the life outcomes of our migrants.
All right. Welcome to Of Truth. This is where we feature immigration stories, community health issues, and stories of hope based on the experiences of migrants and, of course, color. Welcome. Hey, T.
Hey. Hey, DJ KTE.
All right. So we have, inside Voice of Truth today, we are going to have our first look. And we are having a conversation about, are successful Black women targeted in mainstream? Again, for those who are just joining us, are successful Black women targeted in mainstream media? All right, Jesse, would you mind introducing our guest today?
Yes, yes. So give me one moment here, only because there we go. My computer's a little bit. But we have our guest, Nikisha Martin, who is a counselor. Nikisha Martin hails from St. Catherine, Jamaica. She moved to Oklahoma in 2003 to pursue an undergraduate degree. She subsequently earned a master's degree in education in 2010 and a master's degree in professional counseling in 2018. Nikisha currently works as a licensed mental health therapist, currently serving in community mental health. She's worked with clients who are severely mentally ill, those who participated in the Family Drug Court program, and university students who are transitioning to adulthood. Prior to working in mental health, Nikisha lived in China, working as an EAP, English for Academic Purposes, teacher at Sino British University. Her overall mission in life is to help others overcome their mental and emotional struggles, recognize their identity in Christ, and identify their potential and discover the life they were born to give. Nikisha, thanks so much for coming on to our show. And we also have DeAndre Borrow in
Returning
the
guest, yes. Hello,
yes,
Mr. Borrow.
returning
Good morning.
guest.
Hey, how are you?
Good. We are doing good. And let me give some props to DeAndre real quick. He's an NFL athlete. He grew up in San Jose, California and Oakley, California. He's a professional NFL pro. And he also says that his greater purpose in life was bigger than the NFL and is to impact the world in many ways. I choose to be a contribution to the world and God first.
Awesome. And we also have with us in studio today, no stranger to the program, returning guest, and also host of Let's Talk Relationships here on UME Radio, Mondays at 9 p.m. Do check them out. His name is DJ KTE, otherwise Keith. Morning, Keith. Thank you so much for being here on our panel this morning.
Glad to be here.
Yes, thank you. All right, so just to reiterate, for those who are just coming in, today we're going to be looking at our successful Black women targeted in mainstream media. Jesse, your thoughts. Let's start with Monique.
Yes, let's start with Monique. As you guys know, maybe a few years ago that she went on her speech in regards to her job and not being recognized for the accomplishments that she has. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but she was voted Donkey of the Day and was just called very derogative terms. And Black people in the comedy arena just did not have her back. And most recently, Kevin Hart actually apologized for his remarks and for him not having her back. Meanwhile, she had his while he was going through the cheating allegations with his wife, and while he was going through therapy with his motor vehicle accident that he had. And the light of how she was viewed in the media, especially in the Black media, when it came to her saying, that she's the most decorated female Black woman, and on The View, it came to a point, well, Whoopi's there, and yeah, Whoopi is known, to be fair. Whoopi is known worldwide. Monique is known, I think she's a bit more personally, my take allegedly, is more known within the Black community than, let's say, worldwide. But to her credit, she is the most decorated, and she got a lot of hate from Charlemagne. And I think that it's just derogatory and wrong, partly because, you put in work. This isn't easy work, especially for Black people and especially for Black women. And then to get on and say, I'm worth X amount of dollars to Netflix, and I'm worth, look at this, I was in Precious and I was at all of that. And then to not be valued for what you're worth, and to only accept, I don't want to say pennies, because thousands are not pennies to the common day, but pennies to what you should be worth is not right. And we could also talk about just the mental health of it, as to how it truly shapes us. And just being, what's the right word? I want to phrase this correctly. Sorry, guys, almost done. But just being viewed in a negative light after so many years, but also viewed negatively from your own community, and to be left out. Yeah, just like Mim Masterclass says, to be left out hanging. I would love to know a little bit more on mentally and emotionally what that would do to you. So.
Definitely agreeing with you there, Jesse, even though we started off with about Monique being donkey of the day, and I want to pause right here because we have another guest that just came into studio. His name is Coach Vernon Peterkin. He's from Jamaica, and he's a physical education teacher, and he's also a track coach and author of the book Thoughts of a Young Jamaican Man, and he has been doing his craft for over 12 years. Welcome, sir, to the panel this morning. For joining us, we're going to be looking at three main persons this morning, but to give some more context to the conversation, are successful Black women targeted in mainstream media? And based on the panelists we have this morning, we're going to be discussing this from varied perspectives. First, we started off with Monique saying, yes, she's one of the most decorated Black comedians. She's a very popular icon, and it really is sad where that is concerned. Jesse, I totally agree with your sentiments from before, and we definitely have to do something to change the narrative where that is concerned, and that's in the creative field of things, but not just the creative field is experiencing it, but we're it in the arena of sports, right? So let's talk about 24-year-old Team USA gymnast who decided to pull out of the individual all-around vault bars and floor finals at the Tokyo Olympics due to mental health issues. And she was described as what? Jesse, she was described as...
From right-wing media, I just want to clear that out because I personally have not seen it but just certain segment was describing her as a psychopath.
Yes.
Wow.
That is sad. Definitely described as selfish and psychopath, which... Wow. And I'm thinking to myself, and I want to open the floor to our panelists right now as to your thoughts on women in mainstream and how they are being treated because they're saying, okay, I have a voice and I am using my voice. I want to start with Miss Martin. From a counseling perspective, how are you? Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Okay, share with us, what are your thoughts when you review these stories of these women? And just to say, how do you think they're being targeted? What's your thoughts?
And of course, I don't want to speak specifically to any situation because I'm not fully informed on all of this. I try to stay away from social media as much as possible. But I think the fact that you become a public figure, actors, athletes, and you're in the limelight, you are going to be a target for almost everything, for those who are fans and for you, and especially for those who are against you as well. Because the ones who are for you, they will publicly acknowledge what they think about you, and the ones who are against you, they will do likewise. I think, though, how we see the public, the information that is sent, and what people say about them, the public again, it's only seen through the lens of our own values. So I can make a comment like that about Monique, but it really speaks more about the person making the comment than it does about her.
Please don't call.
Right, because her experiences and her resume speaks for itself. However, if I was to commend her on her challenges, it would speak also to my values, which is to recognize the good in people. So I think whether and I do believe there's a lot of pressure on Black women because there are not many Black women in public figures, not many Black women who are stand-up comics or TV show hosts. And so they will seem like they are targeted even more because the population size is so small.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
yeah, I don't know if that directly answers your questions, but whatever we say, think, and how we act towards people can only be done through the lens of really how we see ourselves and what we value.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Now I will turn my attention to Mr. Peterkin. As a coach, and you train both genders, right? Boy and girl, and you keep up with what's happening in the sporting arena. What are your views based on what you're seeing in the news where women are concerned? Do you think, like successful Black women, do you think that they are targeted in mainstream media?
Well, I'm not the one to use race as a means to target someone or to say that is the reason why they're doing so. But what I find kind of crazy is the fact that the persons who are even say targeting them is our own. For example, Charlemagne. You know what I mean? How is it that you have a female who is young, who is trying, who is mixed, say Japanese and American? Or so where's your dad from again?
Sorry, say that again.
Where is your dad from? Where is
Naomi, I think. Naomi.
Yes, Naomi.
Yes.
Where's your dad from?
So I think I think it's just that her parents are Japanese and Black American. Yeah, Haiti. Right.
Haiti. So yes, what I'm saying is that if you should understand anything about races and stuff, she's from two different backgrounds. So one that's challenging. So she doesn't know one where she belongs. Is she there or is she here? Plus her color of her skin. Two, she's doing well. She's beating all the top stars. She's trying. She's different. How is it that now you're going to chastise her for being different? Not all of us are thick-skinned. Not all of us like the media or the social media. So to bash her or to bash others for being different, that is so sad. And what I most dislike is the fact that you're different and they want you to be like them. That's what I can't understand. Trust me.
Wow. Yes, and especially for her with the fact that in context of the virus and it being like an Asian thing, we did see in the media at one point where there was an all-out attack on Asians.
Yes.
But to bring it home a little bit more, I'm saying it's not just Black women that are successful, but Black men. But more often than not, we see where Black women are being highlighted and then they're being pinned for something negative, almost as if to say that they are not human and they don't have human experiences. For an athlete,
yes.
Let me pose this one to Lady Nakisha Martin, and not just an athlete, but for anybody in general. When a person is attacked like that, what are the processes? What happens to them, and how do they seek the kind of help they need? How do they identify, okay, this is what's happening, where do I need to go? Let's say they are a public figure, these persons are public figures, and we have one more person we want to look at. Share with us what that process really should look like.
First of all, I do want to say that I don't think athletes are often recognized as humans. I think they're separated and placed in the category of superhumans because there is this expectation that you have to perform, which means everything you want, everything you need goes second, and pleasing the audience, getting my stats up comes first, right, Coach? Coach is not
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So you'll find that I worked with athletes when I was in grad school. I worked as their tutor and I was their graduate assistant. And one of the things I noticed about athletes, and just to shed a little bit of light on it, they really are not human. They function at a completely different level. So the things that you do as an average person, you can sleep in. I'm not a morning person. I can sleep in until 10 on a Saturday because I go to bed late on a Friday. But for an athlete, it never stops. They have a structured schedule, which means that they have to be up at 6 a.m. Sleep in. If you sleep in and you show up late, you could be off the team, which means that you may lose your scholarship, which means you may not have the chance to go to school. There is so much tied up in being an athlete. And I think sometimes as spectators, we forget that because they are humans. If you have a child and your child has a headache, you take the child to the doctor. If the child has some problems, you take the child to get counseling, right? Mental or emotional, whatever it is. But for an athlete, oh no, I'm not feeling emotionally or mentally prepared for this event. I need to step back. What? You're an athlete. You should not be doing that. You're a disgrace. And I'm thinking, yeah, but I'm first human. And so we have to remember that everything that we hear, everything that we engage in, and everything we see, it tells us three things. It tells us something about how we should see ourselves, how we should see other people, and typically how we see the world in general. And that forms the lens through which we see the world. So for Simone, or, whatever attack she was coming under, and my mother was personally disturbed by it because she has children, for the first time, she needed to step back. And she was mature enough and responsible enough to identify what she needed in that moment. And she was responsible enough to put herself first for once. And she was attacked for that. Now that for me, it doesn't necessarily focus on race. It focuses on the core of who you are as an individual, to think less of someone else's need than your desire to be entertained.
Powerful sentiments.
It's very disheartening, whatever attacks she's coming under. Now for athletes, as Coach is nodding like crazy, but for athletes, what we say about them, what we publicize and post about them, how we act towards them, you have no idea what happens behind closed doors.
Especially female athletes. I see you, Coach Peterkin. Yes.
Yes, because for example, think if you should think about a female in a championship, and let's say their menstrual cycle should begin. Think about that happening. And
oh my gosh.
They must perform to please you. They should win, they must win. And if they don't, then you chastise them. Also, many persons, including myself, all of us, we get a feeling from sports where it brightens our day. And we believe that these persons should make us happy. So if they should go to the Olympics or to a championship and don't perform, it seems as if, or it feels to many people that my day is spoiled. Without even thinking that, how is that person doing? Why did they perform? Okay, I'm having a bad day. And I go to school to teach, I still have to teach. They're having a bad day and they should compete against 7 or 10 of the best persons in the world. How much more challenging is that? You know what I'm saying? And, yes.
It's interesting because I remember some years ago, I met a gentleman who he was on his way to be a football pro athlete, and it was sharing the gruesome nature of it.
Yes.
Maybe you have a football player here. I'd like to hear him talk about that, man. How it's like, being that athlete and going through that process of
Okay.
sport and
All right. I have
authenticity.
an athlete. I have an
Yeah.
athlete who, we say about a year and a half, signed with Adidas, right? So
Yes.
I won't call a name, but it's very good talent, right? So upon becoming a professional athlete from high school, they missed a spot from going to the Olympics in Tokyo. So that's a bit unfortunate. But when he arrived to the professional scene and the training methods or routine hit him, meaning training at 6, at the gym at 5 in the morning for 2-3 hours, you go home, you're very tired. So you hardly can make breakfast for yourself. You don't want to make breakfast for yourself, but you must eat, right? Then in the afternoon, you get up, you go back to the track, and you're training. After about 4 days, the athlete called me and said, "Coach, I'm not sure I want to be a professional anymore."
No, but I say it because I mean this is actually it's geared towards women, and you know we know that as blacks we are disenfranchised in all areas, whether it's in the medical field, whether it's in the sports world, in the entertainment world, we are disenfranchised, and even more so women. You know, so it is a very tough road. I thought about Monique and her trials. I also wonder when I think about what the guest Charlemagne did. It shows that we are disconnected as blacks. We don't see the long vision of how we should approach. How we saw interconnected and interwoven. So each person within the area of sphere of influence may not realize how powerful and how damaging it can be when we as blacks are not connected with what we say, having a platform.
Yeah.
So I think it shows us that, you know, we need to really get together as far as understanding the role and how we can affect it significantly in the you know how we deal with address these issues with women who are facing these kind of I would say hardships and attacks, because it is real. It is really real.
Thank you so much.
Add something.
Let me just, before we continue, this is a very, very, I love this conversation. Welcome back, Mr. Boren, and we'll get to you in just a minute because I want to hear your perspective as a NFL pro and how you see women being viewed in sports, because you're also a trainer. But Jesse, we have the comments section is going off. Can we just go over there and just share some of the things that's happening?
Yes. So real quick, guys. So we have some comments that says, I know, we have Easton Meyer. It says, excellent observation, coach. I know that this Olympics Games, I wanted it to be for myself or Tearful Biles in regards to Simone Biles, said afterwards, I came here and I felt like I was doing it for other people. So that just hurts my heart. So that just hurts my heart. We also have, some of the comments are kind of cut off for a little bit, but we also have one. This is in regards.
Let me help you, Jesse. Hello, everyone. I'm Coach Racquel. I'm just joining to put some perspective to the conversation. So if I just may assist by going back a little when we introduced the topic. So Monique, there are 3 Black women that we're looking at who have really been lashed in the media, whether we acknowledge them for it or not, but we've seen it happen. So it's not really guessing because it is happening. And so that's why we're having the conversation. Jesse, that comment you're reading is one comment. It was just split. So what Simone Biles was saying, I know that this Olympic Games, I wanted it to be for myself. A Tearful Biles said afterward, I came here and I felt like I was still doing it for other people. So that just hurts my heart that doing what I love has been kind of taken away from me to please other people. And that's from the Daily Beast. And also we spoke about Monique, and it was a case in which some weeks before, she had a skit where she said some things to addressing Tyler Perry, Oprah, and Lee Daniels and Lionsgate, where she said they should, if she had a male organ, then they should put their lips there. Right. So she said that in her comedy. And then it was after that she started having an issue with Netflix. Now, we're not here to necessarily address the particular issues they spoke of. But if we're able to look at how it has been addressed, and as a community speak our own thoughts on it, no matter what those thoughts are, whether we agree, disagree, we think, but if we are not able to even just say this, like I don't even know why I'm feeling emotional. Like I feel abused, that it's not towards me directly, but I feel as though as soon as people of color, and it does not just happen to persons who are in the public eye. It happens to in the boardroom because it happened to me. It's just that not everyone is seeing what's happening to me. It happens in our homes. It happens in our community, where when we see each other thriving or succeeding, it's what is it that prevents us from one? Gosh, I don't even know why I feel like I'm tearing up, like, as I'm listening to the conversation. And I have some questions of my own, like, what is it makes it so difficult that it's hard for us to defend each other, but it's easy for us to call out the flaws? Like, what makes it so easy for me to say, go ahead.
If I could say this, what I dislike the most is the persons who build themselves upon the destruction of another. So that is what I dislike, right? Commenting on someone's behavior is okay, but trying to build yourself upon destructing them, that's what I don't like. So for example, the donkey of the day, because she have reviews, have her situations that you know nothing about, and you want to chastise her publicly so harshly to get your views or your recognition. And now the byproduct of that is that you're going to depress money, and she's going to be looking at you like, hey, you look like me. Hey, aren't we some form of, you know what I mean?
Can I add to that? I think in general, I mean, there are two things. In general, every single behavior, Charlemagne's and Monique's, and Simone's and the public towards her, every behavior makes sense when you think about the context. We don't have all of the context. You know, like the sister who just came on said, you know, Simone has a job, that's her job. And it's sad that what she does, what she loves, is her job. And unfortunately, it became a chore for her this time. And it was hard for her to reconcile that with doing what I love. And I really hope she's getting the help she needed. But I also commend her for making that step of doing what she needed for herself in that moment. The other thing is, society has taught us, it has taught us that whatever we see things and we expect things and we act towards people based on what we avoid, what we allow, and what we refuse to confront. And I think the people who are in influential positions, whether you're in the boardroom or you're a coach or whatever it is, a lot more of those people need to come out and actually say how these things are affecting people. Now, with the situation with Monique, you know, they see things through the eyes of entertainment. And unfortunately, you know, whatever comment she made provoked another comment, and it never stops. And so when you engage in certain behaviors, you're putting yourself in a position to be targeted whenever and however, if that is what you also dish out. So perspective is everything. Seeing things through the eyes of your own lens does not help me to understand how you see it, because I'm not wearing your glasses. I've not had your experiences. And personally, I don't know what other history she has with Charlemagne coming into this situation. So there's a lot we're missing, but there's only some that we're seeing. And if we go to it from beyond the racial boundaries to recognizing that people are human, there's none different outside. If you cut beyond my skin, whether I'm black, white, Asian, or whatever, you'll see the same organs, same veins, same everything. And unfortunately, with the targeting people of color, black people, you know, history has taught us to perform. History has taught us that unless we do, we are not, or we will not be. And so a lot of the targeting that comes, you know, with Black people, it's a lot of how we've always been seen. Nothing has changed.
Yes. That is true.
And even among ourselves, when you think about it from being on the plantation, how slaves behaved on plantations, how we treat each other now, how is it different?
And how we position ourselves too.
Exactly.
Also how we present ourselves.
Yeah.
And I understand. Okay, I think for me, one of the biggest challenges is not even so much that people are saying things. For example, with Simone Biles, I'm trying to figure out what this young lady did wrong, because she said it didn't feel it's affecting my health. It's affecting it's a cry for, to me, I heard a cry for help. Now, when someone like Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, or one of the founders. Now, it's not regular people speaking. When Charlemagne speaks, he sits on a platform called the Breakfast Club. Let's say we have no idea of context. How does self-defense become donkey of the day? I'm not even saying he's right or he's wrong. I'm trying to understand it and what precedent is that setting. Does it mean I can't defend myself? When Simone comes out and says, this is affecting me, this is something, we are supposed to pursue our passion and our purpose, right? Because that's how you attract abundance. That's how you really, for the lack of a better term, if you really want to get wealthy, you have to pursue purpose. Otherwise, you will not make it. Because if you're pursuing something you don't love, you will not have the longevity to reap the kinds of rewards that passion will bring, right? And she's saying, for just this once, I'd love to get it for myself. But when somebody that carries the weight of a following like Charlie Kirk can say to this young lady, call her a selfish sociopath, maybe it's just me, but that's a heavy tag. And yet, when you have white men who are mass murderers, we hear that they have illnesses and they have what are we doing here? And I'd love to hear from DeAndre, because we haven't heard from him since he's been on. I'm going to stop. And also the males, because help us women understand. And then the lack of support. That's what, when Kevin came on, you know how Kevin actually came on? Because he ended up supporting a white woman and was called out for it. How is it when this happened to Monique, you never said anything? You just said that wasn't your business, you don't know about it. But something happened to Ellen and you came to say, I don't know what they were talking about. And so Monique in the interview with him was saying, I wasn't expecting you to say what happened to me was right or wrong. You could have said the same thing. I don't know what happens with you and Monique, but when I've worked with her, I didn't have an issue. That sometimes is all that needs to be said. And I respect him again when he said, you know what? I apologize for that. And even when he did it with a dig still, it was still, if the ego was still there. Like, men, help me understand, like, what is it that prevents us from standing up for our Black women or in our community? And I'm not talking about agreement. I'm talking about supporting in addressing or in talking about. I don't mean you have to agree with them or with whatever they're saying. So, and
Yes, let's start with DeAndre. What are your thoughts? Thank you, Coach.
I mean, just as an athlete, like playing sports, it's just a lot of work that you do. So, I mean, Simone Biles probably been doing gymnastics since she was a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And think about how many voices you hear telling you you can do this, you can do this, you can do this a little bit better, and she's not hearing her own voice while she's training. She's not hearing her own voice when she's relaxing. She's hearing about what everybody else is saying, what she should do, what she can't do, what would be best for her. And she hadn't even had time to process her own thoughts. So going into the Olympics, I mean, sometimes you need a break. And that was her breaking point. She either could have got hurt or had she could have either gotten hurt or her mental state would have been would be worse, or she wouldn't have had a time to step back and think about what's going on in her life right now. If she would have got hurt, something else could have happened, and it could have just kept going. So then her mental health would be. We'd be sitting there like, what's wrong? What's going on with her? She's the best at what she does, but people were cheering her on to go or telling her she should do certain things. Now she goes to go do it, and she may not have performed how she wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's going back into her mind, like, dang, am I good enough? Because I've been at that point before,
Mm-hmm.
where I did make it to the NFL, and then certain time, then I got cut. Then my mind started changing. I'm like, well, am I good enough? Why is this happening? Can I still perform? But I knew I was good enough. I knew I worked hard, but it's just a mental thing because you get cheered on and people tell you can do it, and then once you fail, it's like, well, we thought you were better than that. Well, we don't know if you're the best anymore. And it's like, you know, she's a human being. We're all human beings, so we have to separate athlete from my normal life. She probably just wanted to be normal for a day, and that's fine. You know what I mean? She just needed a break, and that's it.
Yeah.
So really, her personal choice is her personal choice, and if the people or friends don't agree with it, then they're gonna have to live with it because she's not mad she did it. She's not mad she made that choice. The people are mad, and that has nothing to do with them. So performing at that high level, it does take a lot out of you. Even during the season when I was practicing in Green Bay, we're waking up. I'm waking up at 6 o'clock, 5:55, around 5 something, 5:55, 5:45. Now practice squad, you got weights at 6:45. All right, now you got breakfast. You can eat from 7:15 to 7:45 because that's when the next meeting is gonna start. And then you're into meetings from 8 to 10:30. And then you go to practice. We're practicing 11 to 1. Then we have lunch. Then we stay in there for meetings again and watch practice all the way till 4:30, 5 o'clock. So it's like, man, I need a break. By week 12, I'm sitting there like, man, I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go home.
I hear you.
I'm like, I'm ready to go home. Like, we got 6 more weeks left, and we might go to the playoffs. I'm ready to go home. Because my mind is just mentally drained, going over the plays, doing the same routine over and over again. And it's not to say I didn't love it. I love football, but I love myself too. And that's the key thing. She chose herself. She loves herself more than she loves gymnastics, more than she loves the people because she matters and she chose herself and she's worthy and she's important. So she chose herself because she loves herself. And that's perfectly fine.
Thank you for that, DeAndre. Coach Peterkin, I see you and I'm coming to you. DeAndre, another question for you. Male versus female athletes support. Yes, we're talking in the context generally about women and really supporting women. What are your thoughts as to possibly why is it that even with that being done that we haven't even heard the male athletes saying, like speaking up and speaking out that listen, what's happening here is wrong.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'll do it. If anybody wants to put me on a platform to speak about it, I'll do it because I do support
You're on one now.
I support women's sports, like, and I don't think enough people watch women's sports, WNBA. Like I find it interesting. Like I'm interested. Like I would rather go watch that because they put so much work into it and they actually want to do it. That's the difference. From my experience, some male athletes, depending on sport, it's like, do you love this? Do you really want to do this? When I watch women, they work hard at what they do, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I've been to WNBA games and know a couple friends that play, and I'm like, okay, I like watching this. Track and field, I'll watch women's track and field because it's like to have that much power, to have that much strength, and I'm attracted to women, so I want my woman to have that same power that I have, and when I watch it, I'm like, okay, she's doing that. She's running around the track. She's running the 400. She's pushing through that pain. And it just shows like how much they can endure, how much women can endure and really put past that pain. And women have menstrual cycles, women are able to have babies, and you're able to do all that, like run, play basketball, play sports, run fast, uh, entrepreneurship, like everything. It's like
Yeah.
that's exciting for me because I'm like, all right, where do I find you in my own personal life? You know what I mean, like relationship wise. But when I watch it, it's just exciting, and I think more men need to support women's athletes because they're on the same platform. They're professional, same platform, and they're putting in the same work, playing almost the same sports. So there is no difference. It's like we just need to uplift that and put it more in the media.
Yeah.
You know, it just needs to be more media show on. We need to show it more on media for women's sports because they're doing the same thing. And like I said, I just find it interesting when I'm watching them play. I'm like, okay, you know, because if I ever have a daughter, you know, of course I'm gonna want her to play sports, but I want her to have that platform and be able to show who she is, who she can be. And at the end of the day, we're more than athletes. We're human beings as well, so we need to respect each other at all times. Man respect the woman, woman respect the man. So it goes further and deeper than just sports.
Thank you so much, DeAndre. Coach, we're coming to you, and then Councillor Martin, we have a viewer question for you. Go ahead, Coach Peterkin.
Yes, as it relates to Simone, I think that we should look first at her passion, at the amount of effort she put into training, and also on her financial benefit from doing it. For all of that to come together and then to say, no, it's not something small. To withdraw after putting in all that work, all that emotions, and I mean, it's not something small. Also, what I'm saying is that I think from her coaching perspective that if it's not done, it should be done, and if not, and if it's done, she's not yet there as it relates to her accepting the fact that, guess what? People are going to be attacking you, man. And obviously, it's not going away tomorrow or today. So when you're in a major competition, probably turn the phone off. Probably have a separate phone that you just call mommy, daddy, or somebody's important. Block it out until go through your competition if it is possible. If it's not, it's okay. Step back, rebuild. If rebuild, come again. You know what I mean? Because it's not going to be easy. It's not easy. Especially she's in a sport that is white dominated. I mean, so think about it. The Russians are very good at it. And I mean, the Chinese are very good at it. The Americans run black. So she's a black woman who is doing extremely well in a white sport. She's going to get it. She's going to get it. But I'm saying that hopefully she can bounce back from it. Hopefully the coaches and her team can really get her to that point where it's me. It's not us. It's not for America. It's for me. It's for me. If you don't like it, my performance or what I'm doing, fine. But it's for me. You know what I'm saying? And she should not be looking outside to say that, hey, him or she from over there should be giving me some form of support. Nah, that's not what the world is or it's behaving. You know what I mean? She has to be a little bit stronger. And I'm saying this, not by saying that I'm not supporting her. I'm saying this because I want you to be stronger. I want you to bounce back and come again and be great. Yes?
I have a question or comment while we're on Simone. Just before we get to the question for Counselor, two things. So while this was happening, I saw a tweet that someone said that she won nationals with broken toes in both feet. She won worlds with a kidney stone, and she carried the burden of being a face of sexual assault. I don't know if you can say that on YouTube. Survivor, as a national institution failed to support them. And I think it was earlier this week or last week, where she actually did go on to do the balance beam and win bronze for that, despite having her moment of taking that mental break for it. And like DeAndre said, as an athlete, one of my best friends who did gymnastics from the ages of, as a kid, they normally start really small, and she stopped in high school. And there were numerous articles on New York Times saying that as a gymnast, when you're in the air and there's this thing called twisties, and my best friend, she relate that, and she's like, no, if you are not mentally, because it's such a mind-body connection, twisties are real. To where if your mind is not right, and like DeAndre said, you do a flip in the air and you're not in one with your body, and she could be seriously injured. And then, God forbid, if that happened, it would have led to something drastic. And I loved, not only did she have the courage to say, okay, I'm able to do this event, and then win bronze in it, but to have her fellow teammates and coach them still on the sidelines and not really take away from them and let them have their moment is so profound. And I wanted to shout that out. And we have that question for a counselor that says, why is it that people go so far harshly when they disagree with others? In all these cases, people could have said, I disagree, by quote unquote selfish sociopath, quote unquote donkey, quote unquote weak. Why do they go so far?
I think I answered that earlier, but I'm going to ask a question so it can probably shed some light on that. And that, what you said is very important, kind of reinforce some of what I said earlier. But how can I speak well of you when I don't think well of me? And how can I say well of you when I don't believe well has happened in my life or I've accomplished much? And I think a lot of people underestimate the significance of your mental health. There was a Jamaican athlete performing, female, and I knew she would not have won the race when I saw her in the blocks. Everything in her face and what had happened before told me, and her disposition then told me she would not have won the race. When an athlete gets in the starting blocks, or on the beam, how they see themselves, how they feel in that moment will determine how they will finish. Now, I am glad she was very responsible to say, I broke my leg, I can't come into work today. And I think that's what happened. If it was a car and the powertrain or the transmission blew out, would you still tell the car, go? You're a sociopath. Get up, come on, get yourself going. No, we don't do that to machines, but we do that to people. How is that fair? Now, she's a whole person. If one part of the human being is out of whack, the rest of it is completely messed up. Now, we don't know how this interaction with the public and this man's very unthoughtful comments, how it will affect the way she sees herself and subsequently perform in future events. But, the young lady who asked that question, why is it? I think why it is because we expect those things of myself, of ourselves. It's a personal view. I cannot see you beyond the lens of my own values, how I see the world, my personal beliefs. Everything I see, how I respond, how I act towards people are through the lens of who I believe in, which is God, and how I see myself as a Christian. Now, if I don't value human life, if I don't think well of myself, if I don't think I can accomplish anything, then I'm going to superimpose my own values on what I see and believe and expect of other people. And that's unfair. The moment for athletes, when you perform and you're doing well, you're great, and you're supported, you're hailed, and you're revered as the best. And the one moment you don't show up for them, who they're not paying you necessarily, but the one moment you don't do what is expected, you are criticized, ostracized, and demonized.
True.
And that can only come from someone who thinks and believes that that is okay for someone who's also flesh and blood like you.
Powerful. Well said. Keith, you're about to say something?
Oh, yes. I personally applaud Simone, because it demonstrates that no matter what level you're on in sports or in your own success, you can stop to save yourself. Because if you can't save yourself, you can't save anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You can help yourself, you can't help anybody else. And so I think for women following her or seeing this, younger women who are coming up in sports, it's a plus, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is said that we don't learn about finances in high school or, you know, or middle school. We don't learn about these financial education. So that's why we as a people suffer with finances as we get older. So I think they should consider putting in place real systems as you're training as an athlete from young, how to think, how to understand the nature of the business, what the expectations are, what people are demanding of you, because it's a double-edged sword. It's like the reality is that you're a human being, but the sport said you're not. The piece said you're not. Now, how do you navigate yourself in that kind of arena? Because it demands of you press and talking and release and being a public figure and cameras and lights. So a lot of people they have a talent, they get on board, but don't understand the nature of what they were getting into. So
Can I ask you a question though?
Yes.
If she had broken her leg, would they still have expected her to get on the beam?
Some probably would. That's how crazy it is.
No, this is
If she had a head injury or a hamstring pull, would they have expected her to get up there and perform? Mental health is no different from physical health.
There you go.
Equally prevents us from performing.
Exactly.
No disrespect, Panel. All sports people are galacticos. They are what you call sports was created from soldiers having nothing to do after war. If there was no war for 1 to 2 to 3 years, the soldiers were bored. So that's how the games came about. So the games are, what do you call it? They are not sick. They're not. We can't see them as human beings. And if 5 of us do, 10 million won't, right? So they are what we call the best of us, the best of the rest of us. So whatever their performances are, the results are how we feel about them. We feel differently because they're like the best of us. That's how people view them.
But herein lies the problem. The fact that you don't see them as humans when they are.
The but is you link Usain Bolt and Justin Gatlin. I think Justin Gatlin is an amazing athlete, right? That's what I'm saying. He's an amazing athlete. Usain Bolt is what you call now the best. Why he's the best is based on here linking with the physical. Because yes, he has to face Gatlin, who's at his best. A bunch of 3, 5, 20 million Jamaicans who are hoping to get some from a result to feeling good. Plus himself, plus the money, plus everything. So it's not easy, man. It's not easy. And it's not easy for any of them. Trust me. But what I have to say though is if we what DJ or Kite is called when you have the kids when you're young, say before the age of 10 or 12, you should spot these things in them, like put them through different scenarios and see that they honestly can't, because some of them can't. So I was coaching like 150 kids or 130 on a Saturday. What you recognize with these kids is that some of them are based on makeup or strong or brave, courageous, whatever the circumstances is, they're going to perform. Then some of them now are different. Let's say father, daddyless, mommyless, both of them not present. These things do affect them. So when they grow to say age 13 to a 19, if you spot it and then you try to fix it, hopefully between that age, then when they reach the professional arena, it hopefully can be different. But honestly, there are 3 different types of athletes, right? So all athletes are very good physically. What separates them is here, right? Is this that separates them? Their mind, the ability to control themselves through hardship, through stress, whatever circumstances that may come at them that is difficult, right? So it is not easy. But what makes them different is the ability to control the stress. All of them out there are facing severe stress. The winner, the loser, the person who went to the Olympics and didn't leave the heats. Those who didn't make their national teams, right? Those who made the semifinal. Those who, imagine the person who came fourth at the Olympics. Fourth, not the one who came fifth. Fourth, your 3 medals, gold, silver, and bronze, and you're fourth. So what I'm saying is that it's not easy, but we as a people should understand that it's not easy. And when someone don't perform or choose not to be a part of the competition for whatever reason, you have to cut them some slack, because one, plenty work went in. It's not something that you get up and you just go down to the track or to the gym and you're the best. No. Plenty work went in. There must be high-level passion for you to go to the Olympics, right? Then you're getting paid to do it. So it's your livelihood. So for you to get up and say, hey, I can't manage, man.
It's got to be real.
It's
got to be real.
I have a comment. Do we have time? Do we have more time?
We are literally out of time. We are gonna listen, panelists. We would love to have you back, because we started with women and now we're on a whole other plane that is so interesting. We want to have you back to have this part 2 to this discussion. 11 o'clock in the eye where we are. It's time to go. So before we go, we have questions in the comments. Let's see if we can get those and then we wrap up. What's the question, Jessie?
Okay, let me just go back through. Okay, we did. Okay, thank you guys. How do we navigate this though when many use their gifts to overcome poverty and gain access to abundance or success or wealth, freedom, and to provide for their families?
What is the this here?
How do we navigate?
I think it's a negative comment.
And if I can chime in on that, I think the coach drew an example. He used Simone Biles versus Usain Bolt. How you see yourselves, where you find your inherent value. That's what makes a distinction. And I think when athletes are training, they have to find worth in more than what they do. Otherwise, they have to see worth in who they are as individuals. Otherwise, the moment their athletic abilities are no longer able to earn or work for them, then everything goes downhill. But if I realize, like you're saying, when Usain Bolt realized that he was no longer running, or when he came third in that race, it never changed how he saw himself. Yeah. Well, at least he didn't demonstrate that publicly. But when you're no longer able to perform, you still have to believe that there's something still very good about me. And that's not who I am. That's not all I am. That's just one part of who I am.
One quick question, if you mind me asking. If I could ask Mr. DeAndre, I know you play with the Green Bay Packers. What would you say was some of your pluses as far as being reinforced with the right kind of information to mentally prepare you for because I know it's got to be grueling, had to be grueling in that kind of arena. How did you speak to that part of the support you had?
Yeah,
and really more of that.
Say that one more time. That last word.
Yeah. How would you address the idea of the support, mental support that you had gotten being in such a grueling sport and being a part of the Green Bay Packers? How would you address the support?
Can I ask you, do you mean like how did he not see himself as a loser if he lost a game?
You're right. And how would the support system around him, that what he got information-wise, mentally to maintain that strength mentally?
I mean, really, I was just believing in myself. I mean, there are a few friends that I did have that had my back, support, but I just kept believing in myself. It was like, well, I know I can do this.
Okay.
I know it's going to be challenging, but if I made it here, why can I play?
Mm-hmm.
Why can I not? I mean, I can start. I can be that guy. I can do this, and that's what God intended me to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I just always believed that, and I mean, it was a challenge, but it's like I got to keep going.
Yeah.
Or I choose to keep going, right? After a while, it's like, I gotta do this. But we don't have to do anything. It's really a choice. So, with me in general, I mean, I believed in myself. Like, I knew I could go to the NFL since I was a kid. I knew I'd be able to make it. I knew that I would go Division I playing football. Like, it was just my belief. Really, what it comes down to is just, I know God wanted me to stick to obedience.
Yeah.
And then again, I'm more than the NFL. I'm bigger than the NFL because without DeAndre, they don't have me.
Wow.
Without me playing, there is without anybody running track or playing sports, there is no sport. So you guys need us to be able to have this go. So we have more value than the company. Because if we say we don't want to do this anymore, well, what do you have?
Yeah.
Not everybody's replaceable. People think people are replaceable and they're not. You're not gonna get another Usain Bolt. You're not gonna get another Allison Felix. You're not gonna get another Simone Biles. So that's the value that we have. So it is important for mental health for all athletes to know their value because that's what I like. Counselor said, say your name again.
Nikisha.
Like Nikisha said, just knowing your worth and I don't even know my train of thought about what you said, but it's just knowing your value.
Yeah.
And seeing you're more than the sport and understanding like I'm doing this to play or to run because I love it. Something has to come with it because I know my value. You can't just say go play football, DeAndre, and we're not gonna pay you. No, it gotta be worth my time. It gotta be worth DeAndre. How do I see myself?
Yes.
Because I see myself as high value. Well, then if I'm gonna play, then write this contract.
Yeah.
You know, this has to come with it. You don't just get DeAndre to use me up and then say we're done with you. We don't want you. No, because at the end of the day, I have to live my life as well, and I have to see myself for who I am. And because I am valuable, well, you're gonna miss out on DeAndre. You didn't think I was good enough? Well, guess what? DeAndre knows he's good enough.
Love it.
It doesn't matter what you believe; it matters what I believe. Because at the end of the day, this is who God made me to be. So my value was higher than the NFL. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Well said. Love it.
If you don't mind, can I make a general comment? I think a lot of our responses and reactions to the athletes' performances and even the media, it's derived, well, a lot of those come from our minds. And over the years, as people, we develop what we call survival skills. And they end up forming a part of how we see the world. And I guess in therapy, we'd call it cognitive distortions or twisted thinking. And so what we do with those thinking, those thought patterns is we apply them to not just our lives, but to others. You're either performing well or you're not. You know, so it's all or nothing, you know, or in some people's case, they get very defensive or they use sarcasm as a way of defending themselves. These survival skills somehow helped us to survive, but was not necessarily functional or it wasn't healthy. And because we've not done anything to change it and we've not gotten help to change it growing up, we carry them into adulthood. We superimpose them on other principles and other values because we think that's helped us so far, so why not? And we see it in the media. We see it when people criticize other people. In Simone's case, it was all or nothing. In Charlemagne's case, I'm going to tear her down. You know, that's defensive. That's being defensive. It's a defense mechanism. And so, you know, people learn to survive that way. And in their case, because they're both, what do you call it? What is Charlemagne? I don't even know.
Media personality.
Yeah. And Monique, she's a comedian, she's a talk show host. And so he's going to tear her down because something she said hurt him. And he's reverting to his way of learning to survive. Okay, this was what I did growing up. This was what I saw happening. You hit me, I'm going to hit you hard. Doesn't matter if you're female, male, or whatever. He's going to tear you down. And that's what we do as people. Now, what we have to do is stop and ask ourselves questions. What about this makes sense? Roles reverse. If that was my child or my sister or my daughter, sorry, I said that, would I still do and respond the same way? Would I do the same thing?
Oh.
You know, and as athletes, for the athletes, when they get out there on the track and they're thinking, man, I'm gonna either win this race. If I don't win, I can't go home. Really? So you're either the fourth fastest in the world, or you're nothing.
Two extremes.
Right. So if you don't come first, you're like one of the 8 fastest people in the world. So am I going to see myself as a loser, or am I going to see myself as one of the best? Like DeAndre said, am I going to see myself as the 4th fastest person in the world or a loser? Which one makes you feel better about yourself?
Interesting.
Well said.
So, you know, perspective, putting things in perspective. But yes, you don't go out there thinking, I'm going to go for the 4th fastest position. You go out there to compete at the very highest level. And yes, you want to prepare yourself. You want to say, I'm going to win. But even if I don't, it doesn't change who I am and what I'm worth. I'll just try again better next time. Yeah. I know what not to do. I know what messed me up. So I know what to change. Versus, oh, I'm nothing. I'm worthless. I came 4th, and not try again. So what you tell yourself in that moment will determine how you function from that moment.
Right. No. It's like, don't discredit all the work that you put in. Just because you didn't get the result that you wanted, you can still always work to the results. It may not have happened at that moment, but you can still always get it. Because if you didn't get the gold or bronze at the Olympics, who's to say the next time you run, you break the world record?
Yeah.
In a sprint. And then what? You know what I mean? Is it doesn't take away from you. It's, wow, I did that. You know what I mean? I still put the work in. I put all this work in to get to this point. It may not have been the result that I wanted, but I can always set a goal again to do this again and make it happen. So I think overall as human beings, just people, athletes, you gotta look back at the work that you did put in to get to where you are, even if it wasn't the result at that moment. Because we just look at the result, oh man, I didn't get this. What about all the work you put in? Show yourself some grace. It's really just grace. Show yourself grace to the work that you did put in so you can see. And that's what it comes down to. So
yes. Thank you so much, everyone. We are definitely winding up, and we will close with a comment. We have some comments going.
We will close with a comment that says, gratitude. None of us are entitled to any of God's grace and favor.
Yes. We have to learn not to respond to high emotions, but to build our own support community. And that's where we'd like to end this particular conversation. The importance of having our own support community. So yes, you're a public figure, male or female, and you're doing very well, successful. How much do we support each other? How do we see each other in eyes? Are we seeing them through our own reflection of ourselves? Those are some of the questions we will leave with you this morning. And with that being said, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here with us on Weekends with Marsha, Jay, and Jesse, to our panelists that were with us and other guests. Thank you so much. We look forward to having you again and again and again. One last activity before we go. We're going to ask each of you, let us know, how can we support you and what it is that you do? I'll start with DeAndre.
Oh, with me, you can support me by following me on my Instagram. I have a business page and a personal page. So my personal page is DIONDRE, last name Borel, BOREL, all one word. And then my business page is CRAELITE_, and that's the Sports Performance Health and Wellness business page. Nikisha, if you want to follow me on there, it'd be great, because some of the things that I want to do is, of course, attacking that mental health and mental performance as well as the spirit. So that's how you can support me, really just wanting to go at a higher platform to go speak, as well as creating a business and having the free time to do both. So if I need to travel to go speak and, the gym's running with other people, other trainers there, that's perfectly fine, because it's not just DeAndre's gym. Like, this is a team. Right?
Yeah.
So if I'm playing for the Packers, it's a team. So if this is my business, it's a team. Like, it can't just be DeAndre, because then I'm going to be selfish. And then I won't be able to expand and grow in the areas that I need. So just support in all areas, whether it's liking something, reposting, words of encouragement. That's what I can get from y'all. Just like everybody needs words of encouragement. So we're all a team. We're all being leaders in this point of our lives, because we're on this call. So that's how we can support each other and how you can support me.
Thank you for that. Lady Nakisha?
So I thank you. Yes, DeAndre, I think that's an excellent work that you're doing, but I do not have a private page. I work in public mental health. So I work in community mental health, but you can support me by supporting others. And I will say this, one of the things people can start doing, this is how you will support mental health therapists in general, very much, instead of looking through a window, sometimes we need to first start looking in a mirror and start looking at ourselves. How is this serving me? Do that with yourself. Make yourself healthy. Change some of the thought patterns that you had in your life that has brought you to where you're at and did not function for you. And treat other people the way you would want to be treated, But if I do start to do private mental health, I'll definitely send a shout out to Marsha, see if she can put me out there.
For sure. We're more than happy to do that for you. DJ KTE, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me here. Well, I'm glad to be here anyway, part of this great panel, DeAndre and it's Marin, that's the name, or Martin?
Martin, yes.
Martin, yes. It was great to be here. But the way you can find me is to support my vision and the network that I'm a part of. Real simple. I say get the app, okay? So if you go to the app store, you can just type in UME Radio, and you'll see all the great things that we're doing and we want to achieve, and we want to achieve it with you. And if you go there, you can see it all. So again, glad to be here.
All right. Thank you so much for that information. And thank you all for being here this morning. Jessie, any closing words?
I just want to say thank you all for being here with us. Those who were our guests earlier, those are listeners, our supporters all around the world. I want to say thank you so much. We love having you. Definitely this convo has to be a part 2. And yeah, support, guys. Download the app, UME Radio, and subscribe to UMERadio.com. And I hope to see you guys next week.
Thanks. Take care.
Across the country,
Radio Live.